I all of a sudden started to think to myself, wait a minute. They didn't even make an offer? Why would they bring DeAndre Hopkins in on a visit if they weren't going to even make an offer? So this morning I started thinking, okay, why would they do that? And I came up with 4 separate reasons that the Titans didn't make an offer, again, according to Tom Pelissero. And I think, and I don't know this for a fact, I think Pelissero gets his information from the team. Again, he works for NFL Network. That's a league-owned media operation. And the Titans, when they're not giving their gossip to Diana Rossini, and I think we kind of all have our feelings about where that comes in and how that gets to Diana, it usually goes to Rappaport or Pelissero, the 2 insiders for NFL Network. So, again, after the meeting was over, after the visit was over, Jordan Schultz came on our show, said it went well. And I asked Jordan Schultz if there was an offer, and he said he didn't know, which made me think that he was talking to Hopkins people. Pelissero reports later last night that there was no offer. So I came up with 4 reasons as to why this could be the possibility that the Titans would bring DeAndre Hopkins in for a visit and not offer him a contract. Number 1, maybe the Titans were doing just as much in terms of deciding what they wanted on the visit as Hopkins was. Remember, the idea of a free agent visit, this is not college football, so it's not like a recruiting visit, but I think sometimes we get it popped into our heads of, oh, he's visiting the team and this could be and the idea is Hopkins is visiting the Titans and the Titans are going to try to sell Hopkins on why he should pick him. Derrick Henry, play in a weak division, get to know Coach Vrabel a little bit more. You know Tim Kelly. Here's Rob Moore. Here's Treylon Burks. Here's Ryan Tannehill. So the idea is you're trying to recruit DeAndre Hopkins. You're trying to convince DeAndre Hopkins that he should be a Titan. But what if DeAndre came here because DeAndre is trying to prove to the Titans, hey, guys, I'm worth the investment. Whatever that investment may be. We talked yesterday about $12.5 million. I do think there are teams that would be leery. I think there are a lot of teams that are uncomfortable with the idea of giving DeAndre Hopkins $12.5 million. So I maybe DeAndre was trying to sell himself to the Titans at the same time that the Titans might have been trying to convince DeAndre. We all think that it was the Titans trying to recruit DeAndre. Maybe DeAndre was trying to recruit the Titans. And maybe Mike Vrabel's message about guys who want to be here last week wasn't just lip service, but it was actually what is affectionately known on this program as Vrabelese, for DeAndre needs to come here and show that he wants to be a Titan. We're going to show DeAndre that we want him to be a Titan. DeAndre needs to show that he wants to be a Titan. And so the Titans say, hey, take all your visits. And then if you decide you want to be a Titan, then you're welcome to join. Now, I don't think that's very likely to happen, that DeAndre is going to leave here, go visit New England, maybe visit other places, and then come back and say, okay, well, I'm ready to be a Titan. But again, I'm just throwing that out as a possibility. Number 2, maybe the Titans didn't make Hopkins an offer because they didn't want him to shop it around. That instead of coming here and saying, well, I got $8 million from the Titans, and then walking right up to Foxborough and saying the Titans offered me $8 million, maybe the Titans didn't offer DeAndre a deal because they don't want DeAndre to shop it. They don't want him to say, hey, let's talk later. And now you can't go to New England and say, oh, well, they offered me this or they want me that. Now, it's risky to do that, because if you really want the player and you're trying to play hard to get, somebody else could get the player. And if somebody else gets the player, now you don't have a second receiver and you're stuck with Chris Moore and the Scarbinis outside of Treylon Burks. But maybe they didn't want to get into a bidding war with Hopkins, so they're playing the long game on that. They say, okay, go see what else you can get, and then we'll go from there. The third reason is perhaps the Titans have a price range in mind with DeAndre, and it's not very high. And so instead of disrespecting him on the visit, DeAndre, we love you. DeAndre, here's the stretch sprinter van with the graphic image. DeAndre, here's CMA Fest. DeAndre, here's Ryan Tannehill. DeAndre, here's Mike Vrabel. DeAndre, our division sucks. Here's $2 million. They did not want DeAndre to walk out of here feeling that the Titans disrespected him with the kind of offer that he was expecting to get. So instead, they'll let the other teams that he takes visits to do the disrespecting. And then they'll say, well, they're offering you $5 million each. We'll offer you $6 million. Whereas, and I don't know, what the market is saying right now with Hopkins, but if the market is saying $5-6 million, and the Titans are willing to offer $6 million, and DeAndre's looking for Odell Beckham's 15 to 18, and he shows up thinking 15 to 18, and he gets offered $6 million, he might say, screw you guys, I'm leaving. And then he may go visit all these other places and not get anywhere near that kind of a deal. That could be wrong. But I do wonder if that's, a possibility with all of that. Just throwing that one out there. And then the final thing about why the Titans didn't, in my opinion, offer DeAndre Hopkins, that the possibilities that it could be, again, that's kind of what we're going down here. That's the path that we're taking, is maybe the Titans recruitment of DeAndre Hopkins is all lip service. The Titans team, they hear all the same things that we hear. They hear the idea of, this team's not going to be very good. This team, they're down. This team tried to get Kevin Byard to take a pay cut. This team shopped Derrick Henry. This team was listening all offseason on Ryan Tannehill. This team is projected to finish 28th in the league. This team didn't spend a lot of money in free agency. And so they use the recruitment of DeAndre Hopkins as a message to the locker room that, hey, guys, we are in it to win this. Then when you end up not signing DeAndre, you can say, hey, guys, it's all business. We wanted to make it work. We thought we could make it work, but we couldn't make it work because it's all business. But we wanted to. That's how committed we are to the 2023 season. I don't give a damn what Adam Rank on NFL Network says about our possibility of competing. We believe in this club. We believe in you all, and we tried to get DeAndre. And so it's lip service to the locker room. It's also lip service to the fans that, hey, we told you guys we'd be looking for wide receiver help. We told you guys that we would be interested, that players would come available. We told Paul Kaharski the great Vrabel promise that I've talked about after the draft of, no, we can still sign guys. Free agency is still going down. We can still go get guys. We can still add players. We promise that then when DeAndre signs with somebody else, the Titans can say, oh, we tried. But then I have to ask, how hard did you try when, again, you didn't even make him an offer when he came? So I was not surprised last week when the news came down that the Titans were going to be hosting DeAndre Hopkins for a visit. And while I don't, really care about the whole recruiting thing, the idea that the Titans had the sprinter van with the graphic for DeAndre Hopkins, or that they took him to CMA Fest when it was in their building, while that doesn't really move the needle for me much, I'm still thinking about the idea that, hey, they brought him in for a visit. They wined him and dined him. I mean, maybe they actually are interested in this cat. Maybe they want to bring DeAndre in. Maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe I was right all along. And then he leaves without an offer? So you got the player. You've got Chris Moore at wide receiver right now. And I hate to break it to you. I was talking to Corey Curtis today, and I don't want to throw Corey under the bus, but it is what it is. And Corey was like, he's a fourth receiver. Talking about Chris Moore. He's a fourth receiver, and he's your number two. And that's who you have. And so I figured you bring DeAndre in. You don't want DeAndre to leave the building without signing a deal, or at least telling DeAndre, hey, this is what we're willing to offer. Go out, see what's there, see if you can get better. If you can, good for you. But, if not, know that Tennessee wants you at this price. And apparently it's none of that. It was just, it went well, and they'll see where it goes. And for some reason, of what I know of the NFL and of the typical free agent visits, a non-offer, that's not something I'm used to. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not used to that. So again, 4 reasons that I can come up with. Number 1, the Titans were interested in visiting with DeAndre as much as DeAndre was interested in visiting with them. That the intel level, the Titans wanted to do their homework just like DeAndre wanted to do his homework on them. 2, the Titans didn't make an offer because they don't want him to shop it around. 3, they have a certain price range, but they don't want to disrespect him, so they want him to go somewhere else to kind of price out the market and go from there. And 4, and finally, the recruitment of Hopkins is all lip service. I think it's got to be one of the 4. And I don't know which one it is, but I think it's got to be one of those 4 reasons. And I was dumbfounded. If he didn't accept the offer that you made, that would be one thing. And then maybe nobody would report something like that. But when they come out and they say there was no offer, which Tom Pelissero said yesterday, now I'm confused. Now I'm trying to figure out kind of what the plan was here. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025 if you want to weigh in. Forget about what all the TV people say. Because you talk about DeAndre Hopkins with the TV people, and you think that we're talking about Terrell Owens in his prime. And I have never claimed that DeAndre Hopkins is that, in spite of the fact that I am a very ardent supporter that I feel like the Titans need DeAndre Hopkins. But there may not be as much excitement in the league, including the Titans, as there is for DeAndre on TV. We'll read some tea leaves. We'll get into that next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025, here on a Tuesday edition of Stillman and Company. Hey, the Sounds, by the way, very exciting right here. The Sounds are having a block party on Junior Gilliam Way from 3 to 5 in honor of 615 week this Saturday. And there'll be live music, inflatables, balloon artists, food trucks, hair braiding, and more. This is a free event before the Sounds game on Saturday. And tune in tonight at 6:35 on 94.9 The Fan as the Sounds take on the Gwinnett Stripers, the AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves. By the way, I have a bone to pick with the Atlanta Braves. I mean, they were beating the crap out of the Tigers last night. It was the 8th inning. I turned the game off. Michael Harris hit a home run. I turned the game off, figuring I was in the clear. I woke up this morning, and I saw they lost in 10 innings. Need a bone to pick there. But the Sounds are playing the Stripers, a AAA affiliate of the Braves. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by 312 Pizza, Farm Bureau Health Plans, and Family Leisure.
185! Every team needs a quarterback. 185! That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown!
Tim.
You can run good plays at the right time.
ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
You evaluate players, and then you're turning them over to the coaching staff.
Every Tuesday at noon.
At the right time.
With Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Tim on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Attention all fire and safety line experts. Middle Tennessee's fastest growing fire protection company is looking for experienced service technicians, designers, and sprinkler system experts like you. Tired of working for a large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett Fire Protection is owned and operated by Nashville natives and wants to invite you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced sprinkler experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we will also provide you with the top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettfire.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better place to get in on the MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/JGM to join today. That's up to $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/JGM to join today. Let me tell you something. The Mets are stinking it up. I'm a little surprised by that, but my goodness gracious. So don't miss your chance to snag a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500 when you join FanDuel today. Go to FanDuel.com/JGM to sign up. FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Genesis Diamonds has the lowest interest rates on the planet because we never stop thinking about our customers. Right now, you can get 0 interest financing on any purchase. Beautiful tennis bracelets or 5-stone rings starting at only $35 a month. Those 4-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings, just $115 a month. Get Genesis low price, pay nothing down, and spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. Rings, pendants, bands, one-of-a-kind designer jewelry, pre-owned Rolex watches. Now through July 1st only. Only at Genesis Diamonds. Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit, see store for details.
Buffalo Bills Center of the West in Cody, Wyoming welcomes you as you enter Yellowstone Park's east entrance. 5 museums in one and the greatest firearms museum anywhere. Welcome to the West. Buffalo Bills Center of the West, Cody, Wyoming.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
But now, when the agent has real offers, which I don't think he has yet, what he does is he tells the clubs he's not visiting you unless you are willing to meet at least this standard. We already have this on the table. And if that's a problem for you, then we're not going to visit. But I don't think he has that. So I think he's drumming up business by taking the visits, or at least rumoring he's going to take them. But the big guys, Cleveland, Buffalo, and Kansas City, I've heard nothing that he's scheduled to go there. And remember, most of the premier free agents, which he is, most of them signed deals without ever visiting the office. And that's the way life is in the NFL. And we had a coach who's no longer in the NFL, was a college guy, took an NFL job, and he told his room before free agency he could not wait to start recruiting these guys. And the GM, who's a savvy older veteran, said, Coach, they're not coming for a recruiting visit. The agent's going to call, we're going to fight over money, and we're going to arrive at a number, and then he's going to sign. Then he's going to pass a physical, then he's on our team. It has nothing to do with, here's our weight room. Yeah, do you want to see some pictures of the stadium? It's none of that garbage. It's business. But when they start visiting, they don't want to see the weight room. They could care less where you eat lunch. They're in there to convince you to give him the money he wants, and he's still fighting for it.
Longtime NFL executive Pat Kerwin, NFL Radio. My guy, you know I love Pat. And I was listening to Pat yesterday talk about DeAndre Hopkins visiting the Titans and visiting the Patriots. And the more I listen to Pat Kerwin, the more I think that DeAndre may not have the offers. And he was just talking right there about the whole idea that, no, DeAndre, he gets released. He thinks that there's going to be a big market for him. There isn't a big market for him. So now it's like, well, let me go visit teams, so that kind of drums up some interest. Let me go visit the Titans so that Buffalo, who offered me $3 million or whatever it may be, let's drum up some interest so that we can convince Buffalo that, hey, he's taking visits. They may like him. Not so much the idea of, oh, yeah, we want to get to see if he likes the facility. We want to see if he gets to like the city of Nashville with the Tim McGraw concert. That's why I laughed, the NFL. This is not college. The college is, oh my God, look at the weight room. Now it's different because college has the NIL money. Do college players even care about facilities anymore? At my school at Louisville, we got this baseball coach, Dan McDonald, who is a great guy and a great coach. But we got Dan McDonald bitching about the facilities. And it's like, Dan, do the players care about the indoor pitching lab anymore? Do the players want $200,000? Because if it were up to me, I'd take $200,000. I'll put it to you like this. I'm a radio host, right? And the things that matter the most in radio, no matter what station you work with, and it does depend where you work as to how much they care about each of these, but it's ratings and revenue, right? And I also work for SiriusXM part-time, and they don't have any ratings. So they don't care about ratings because there's no rating for satellite radio. So they care about revenue, which is why Howard Stern got a massive bonus on the first day that he started there, because so many people signed up for SiriusXM because they care about revenue. Now, if you were to tell me, okay, you're going to have the highest rated show in America, everybody is going to listen to the Jared Stillman show, and it's going to be with the strongest, smoothest, sweetest syndicated signal across the country, to where you could be in Phoenix, or you could be in Atlanta, or you could be in Houston, or you could be in, and everybody will hear it. But you make 30 grand. Or you can be on the tiny little station that I got my career started with in New Hampshire, where, I mean, nobody, look, I love that station. It was a great station. It's got a lot of history to it. It's very big in politics. But as far as I mean, how many people were listening to me? 20, 30, I don't know. But you make $8 million. I'd probably take the $8 million. And that's how the NFL is. Oh my God, look at the facilities. That was college 3 years ago before they started paying the players. Now, there was one thing that stood out to me. And I love my GMs. You know that I trust my former GMs. So Vrabel last week was asked about Hopkins. And you always have to read between the lines with Vrabel. It's what we refer to on this program as Vrabelese. And Vrabel was asked about the reports that DeAndre Hopkins was coming in for a visit. And Vrabel, in a very Vrabel way, kind of had a Vrabel-like response.
You said you'd keep us updated on any possibilities of adding personnel. There's a report from the NFL Network that DeAndre Hopkins is going to visit on Sunday. Is that accurate? And you're looking forward to making a pitch to him?
Yeah, well, the first thing is we want players that want to be here. I think we want people that want to be here, and then we'll work through anything else. And so, we brought in a bunch of different players. DeAndre will be somebody that we'll bring in next week, early next week, at the end of this week, and go through the same visit that we go through with everybody, and then start the process.
With a visit like that, what can you pull from that visit? I mean, is it a recruiting opportunity, or like how does that benefit you?
I'm past the recruiting. I did that in college. I think that, again, would really just want people that want to be here, and then if that works out, then you go on to the next step. So this will be pretty much it until we, either sign or don't sign the next player.
He's got a reputation, Mike, for not
This will be, again, if that's what you're going to ask your question about today, Paul, I'm going to give you another opportunity, but I'm going to talk about the players that are here. And when DeAndre's here, I'll visit with him, and then we'll move on when we make any other transactions from there.
Okay, so the one thing in the middle about we want guys who want to be here. Now, Bill Polian, one of my GMs, was on SiriusXM NFL Radio, and he said there was a message. When Vrabel said we want guys who want to be here, there was a message inside that Vrabelese.
Mike Vrabel made it pretty clear in remarks that I saw yesterday, this is not a recruiting visit in his eyes.
Yeah.
They're coming there to discuss employment. It's not to recruit him. So Vrabel made it clear that we're not rolling out the red carpet here, trying to convince him to come here.
I love it.
He's acknowledging the fact that there are issues surrounding this player, whatever they may be.
They're bringing him on a visit. They want to know that he's in on the Titans. I do think there's something to that. I think that part of the reason, and again, Tom Pelissero reported yesterday that the Titans didn't make an offer. I think part of this is not just the idea that, the Titans, the way that we look at it, that the Titans are hosting DeAndre Hopkins for a visit and that the Titans are going to put out their best foot and they're going to do whatever it takes to land the big fish. This is not Peyton Manning in 2012. Okay, this is a guy who was released because nobody else in the National Football League wanted to pay him $19 million. Now, the reason why I was so excited when I heard that the Titans were bringing in DeAndre Hopkins for a visit was because at least, thank God, they realized that Chris Moore as wide receiver 2 is not going to work for this season, or at least it shouldn't, be the plan as to what's going to work for this season. But I didn't get excited that the Titans bring in DeAndre Hopkins because I thought, oh my God, DeAndre wants to come here. I think DeAndre will go anywhere as long as you pay him some money. But I can see Vrabel, and you know how Vrabel is. Vrabel says that he's left the recruiting and all that, behind in college. And I think that that's partly true. But I also think there's a part of Vrabel where it's, we don't want the hired guns. We want the guys who are dedicated to doing what we do and love Titan football the way we love Titan football and blah, blah, blah. And maybe the Titans had an idea of like, hey, we're interested, but we need to see if you're all in. So we're going to put our best foot forward, and we're going to show you that we're all in on what we're trying to do here when you meet with me and when you meet with Tim and when you meet with Ryan Tannehill and when you meet with Derrick Henry. But you got to tell us, man, we're not doing this. Oh, DeAndre stands on the sidelines. He don't want to practice today. We're not doing that. You're going to have to want to play Titan ball. So I think that could be part of the reason here. I think there's a lot of reasons why the Titans didn't make an offer. I don't know if it means that they're not interested or if it's lip service, but the TV people talk about DeAndre Hopkins like, oh my God, DeAndre Hopkins, what could go wrong if the Titans or anybody else acquires him? The same way they talk about Odell Beckham. And I am not an Odell Beckham fan. And I would never have given Odell Beckham that money, even if Lamar Jackson had begged me to do it. Because I just don't think he's very good. But the TV people talk about it differently than the football people. And Polian and Kerwin and those guys are saying, yeah, there's probably not a lot on the table right now for DeAndre. So he's got to prove to the Titans that he should be a Titan as much as everybody else is considering the idea that the Titans need to prove to DeAndre how much he should want to join them. The Titans have the trump card. They have the money. So maybe that's something we should keep in mind too. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. I do see your phone, so we will get to those. Dan Orlovsky, a guy who I do not completely agree with on a consistent basis, has a take on the Titans and Hopkins, and it is shockingly a take that I absolutely positively do not agree with. We'll get to that coming up next. 615-737-1025 here on the program today. 615-737-1025. You can watch us streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every day. And our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook. Download their app today and use promo code THEGAME.
All the big plays.
Henry up the middle. Looks a little move. 10, 5, touchdown.
All the big stories.
Should the Titans go after DeAndre Hopkins?
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Touchdown, Tennessee.
I want to give you the best players.
Does he want to retire a Tennessee Titan?
The door's on the board.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The FedEx Cup playoffs start in Memphis at the FedEx St. Jude Championship. Come out to TPC Southwind August 9th through the 13th and watch the PGA Tour's top players battle to make it through Memphis. Enjoy Memphis at its finest with specialty cocktails, local eats, a vibrant atmosphere, and much more. 2 kids 15 and under admitted free with a ticketed adult. Daily grounds and upgraded tickets are available now at FedExChampionship.com.
The Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce's 5th annual Nashpreneurs Conference on Wednesday morning, June 28th, will join local small business leaders, creatives, and entrepreneurs for an interactive event focused on access to capital, including angel investors, banking relationships, fund management, and more. The Chamber will welcome keynote speaker Mignon Francois, newly published author and founder of the Cupcake Collection. Time is running out to save your seat. Visit NashvilleChamber.com/events to register today.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. Hiller's Heat Wave Heroes are keeping you from getting burned this summer. If you know your home needs an air conditioning replacement, do not wait until it breaks down. You do not want to be sweating in your home. This month, get a free UV light and free electronic air cleaner when you buy select new HVAC systems. Or get a whole home water filtration for just $59 a month. Or get a new whole home generator for just $139 a month. Call Hiller's Heat Wave Heroes to save the day. Visit happyhiller.com to book.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
The game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Be a part of the conversation. Call or text the game at 615-737-1025.
1025 The Game and Green Trees Company Dispensary want to send you to see Bryan Adams at Bridgestone Arena. Saturday, June 17th, with very special guests Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Listen all week long to Robbie and Rex Road for your cue to call to win tickets to Bryan Adams and Joan Jett at Bridgestone Arena.
The NBA's best battle for the ultimate prize.
NBA champions.
Every big bucket.
Three-pointers right side is good.
Every big stop.
The steal rejected.
We are your home for the NBA Finals. Presented by Superbook Sports. Hear every game on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Dan Lebitard. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Don't see D-Hop choosing Tennessee over some of the other options.
They got country concerts. He was at Tim McGraw.
Yeah. Where the green grass grows.
You ever heard it?
Back when? Wake up.
Huh? Tim McGraw.
What?
Live like
you don't know Tim McGraw?
Yeah. Fu Manchu, the bowl.
His dad was a pitcher.
Tug.
It's a great song, but that's not gonna get you what you want.
That's a Sunday night.
At the end of the day, like Hop wants to go be dominant, and
it's a great Italian.
What do you mean, dude? He's not going to Tennessee because of that.
Oh, geez, you don't know. I mean, that'd be cool to be able to do, wouldn't it? I mean, that would be a cool thing to do.
It's such a bad move.
On like a Wednesday? Like a Wednesday?
Kid Rock.
Let's go a Jelly Rolls performance.
No big deal.
Okay. I guess.
Sweet.
I guess I'll go watch Jelly Roll.
Yeah. Stapleton's on tonight.
Okay.
They throw the ball 25 times a game, 30 times a game. Don't you think he wants to go to a place like...
Where are they all going? All 25 times. Where are they going?
I disagree with you. I just don't see how he looks at Tennessee if the conversation is, hey, New England's interested and Baltimore's interested and Detroit or Philly are interested. And he's like, you know what? Maybe even Cleveland. I'm going to pick Tennessee. I don't see that, given the quarterbacks that he could play with elsewise.
There you go. That was Dan Orlovsky on the Pat McAfee Show. Now, I will say, I would agree that for the most part, the idea of you can go to a Tim McGraw concert probably would not sway me if I played in the NFL. But it did work for the Predators to get Matt Duchene. So I will say that, there may be just a little something to that. I normally don't agree with Dan Orlovsky. And this is another time on the McAfee Show. He was asked about Hopkins and the Titans. And the way that he portrayed, this is the TV thing. We've talked about this all the time. Remember, the people on TV loved Julio Jones. TV loved Matt Ryan to the Colts. TV loves Deshaun Watson. And the NFL, sometimes they don't always feel that way. And that takes me to this take from Dan Orlovsky that I heard on the Pat McAfee Show.
I think, first of all, Tennessee needs D-Hop more than D-Hop needs Tennessee. Tennessee's got bottom. I say the same thing about, like, New England. And maybe Houston, Indy is like they've got those bottom 3 or 4 skill groups in the conference. And so if Tennessee, that's just the reality. So if Tennessee wants to have the chance to compete, scoring points wise, they need someone on the perimeter that's going to really kind of put fear in defenses.
Here's what I disagree with. Do the Titans really need DeAndre Hopkins more than DeAndre Hopkins needs the Titans? I mean, last time I checked, there were not teams in this league that were beating down the door to pay DeAndre Hopkins a bunch of money. And why does everybody look at deals in sports like it has to be a zero-sum game, where one guy has to be the winner of a deal and the other guy has to be the one who's desperate in order to make it? See, I would agree with Orlovsky that the Titans need DeAndre Hopkins. But I can make the argument that Hopkins needs the Titans too. There might not be another team in this league that has the mix of playing time with an clear and obvious open receiver spot. Now, I believe if the Titans were to add DeAndre Hopkins, he would come in as wide receiver number 2, and that Treylon Burks still has to be wide receiver 1. That in order for this team to be as good as I think that they could possibly be, Burks has to be wide receiver 1. Hopkins could be wide receiver 2. But how many teams have a nobody at wide receiver 2? Because that's what the Titans have right now. How many teams have that same mix of a familiar offense? New England has that, but they're paying Kendrick Bourne at wide receiver. They're paying Juju Smith-Schuster at wide receiver. They drafted Tyquan Thornton in the 2nd round last year, and they've got Devontae Parker. So do they have as much playing time available to DeAndre Hopkins and as many targets as the Titans, who have the Fribble crew outside of Treylon Burks? And again, Burks, and I like him, and I'm glad that he's had the work ethic that I feel like he really needs to become successful and has displayed that this offseason. But Burks is far from a sure thing. And we know that the Titans have the money because the Titans have a low payroll. And the Titans are getting $1.2 billion from their taxpayers to build a brand new stadium. So we know that the Titans have the money. So again, a combination, and we know it because they told us. So the combination of targets, playing time, familiar offense, and money. Who else has that? Experienced quarterback, best running back in the league. I could go on and on. Weak division. I mean, people say that, well, DeAndre doesn't want to come here because DeAndre wants to win a ring. You think you're going to win a ring in New England? Look at their division and look at your division. So I think the Titans absolutely need DeAndre Hopkins, but I'm not one to sit here and say that the Titans don't need DeAndre or that DeAndre Hopkins doesn't need them. So when I hear that talk of that's so TV, that is such a TV take. Oh, DeAndre Hopkins, he wants to go be dominant. Man, he is 31 years old. That horse has left the barn. But the idea of, hey, you're going to get targeted. You're not going to have a bum quarterback throwing you the ball, though apparently a lot of people seem to think Tannehill's a bum quarterback. You've got a coach and an offense you're familiar with. You've got money because the Titans, I don't know if they're going to offer it to you, but the Titans have money. And you play in a weak division with Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill. You're telling me that, I don't need you. I'll go play with Mac Jones in the toughest division in the NFL. Congratulations. I am going to go sit the bench while they put Tyquan Thornton, who they drafted in the 2nd round, out there ahead of me. Yeah, I'm sure that'll go over well. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. And I'm sorry I haven't gotten to them earlier in today's program, 615-737-1025. Texter into the text line says, Hopkins will probably get a $10 million offer from someone out there, and I do not see a team offering him at least $10 million on a one-year deal. In theory, I would agree. That I think DeAndre, because I crunched the numbers and I said, okay, what is the actual value of DeAndre Hopkins? And we did this about 2 weeks ago. We took his production last year, not this. He's a 5-time All-Pro. I don't care about that. Matt Ryan was a league MVP. He's calling games for CBS this year. So I don't care about the fact that he was a 5-time All-Pro, but his production last year, over 9 games, and I'm not the kind of guy who says, well, let's spread it out over 17. No. The number one ability in the NFL is availability. So you got to tell me why, we got to go off of his available production. And the production that he had last year for me, when I factored it in with everybody else, the new deals that are getting signed and everybody else who had the same production, averaged to about $10.875 million. That's his value. But also, it's June. It's not March. And in June, general managers and coaches, and they're given budgets. Hey, this is how much money we're willing to spend. Because as much as the NFL loves to tout how much money they have, the owners, they like to keep some of that now. So they tell them, hey, this is how much money we have to spend on players. And you can figure it out from there. And there may not be, for some of these teams, $10.875 million in the budget. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I do not see the New England Patriots giving DeAndre Hopkins $11 million. So for me, I know you can say he get $10 million. I would think so, but it doesn't feel that way. Texter says, do you think the Titans are completely out on getting Hopkins, or is there still a chance? I mean, I listen to some of these experienced football guys talk, and I got to be honest with you. I don't know if the market for Hopkins, and I'm somebody who, I think that I've done this long enough that I know older players don't have the same kind of markets that their baseball card would say that they deserve. I was kind of stunned with the money Odell Beckham got, but I knew why Odell Beckham got the money, because that was about Lamar more so than it was about anything to do with Odell's production. But I'm a little surprised at how weak the market has been for DeAndre, and what the people that have done this before are kind of predicting and explaining about what they expect his market to be. The fact that these GMs, these Pat Kerwins, these guys that have done it, they don't seem to think that the big money's out there. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Common sense one, and what I honestly am now a little depressed about. We'll explain. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
He knows the ins and outs of the Titans and isn't afraid to give his opinion.
Traylon Burks needs a massive offseason.
He's Jonathan Hutton of Outkick.
I don't see how they make a move without going to Ryan Tannehill.
Catch him every Monday at 10:30 on Chase and Michelle, and every Wednesday at noon on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Hutton is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Ray Jeter here with Harness. Are you an experienced superintendent, project manager, foreman, or estimator? Do you possess a unique perspective that sees problems as valuable opportunities? We are an excavations and site utilities contractor. We are actively seeking skilled superintendents, project managers, foremen, and estimators who embrace challenges with a positive mindset. If you embody this mindset, apply today at selectharness.com. Harness LLC, build people, move dirt.
Does this sound familiar? Did your agent provide excellent entertainment with their TikTok videos and constant social media posts about themselves while completely ignoring that you hired them to sell your home? Did they tell you how wonderful they were? How many followers they had? They probably never sold your home, but hey, they did get 15 likes on their selfies. Hashtag my clients love me. Don't let that happen to you. Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why the only likes we care about are our clients loving our service. Ask us about our prepay with TJ option and how it can save you thousands. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Office number 615-432-2919.
Trust your pets with Cottle Vet Clinic, East Nashville in the heart of Inglewood, offering compassionate care for your fur baby's optimal health. From vaccinations to health checkups, teeth cleaning, grooming, and surgical procedures, visit CottleVetClinic.com to learn more. Cottle Vet Clinic, where pets are family.
Men, this is Evan Bass for the Tennessee Men's Clinic.
If you're suffering with erectile dysfunction or other sexual health issues, you need to know that there is no one-size-fits-all treatment because everyone's made differently. That's why our urologists and medical providers offer a broader array of treatment options and can even combine or adjust treatments for greater effectiveness. ED can result from aging, low testosterone, prostate issues, underlying medical conditions, and more. And understanding why you have ED is the first step in treating the condition. That's why you need to know your numbers and understand what other factors might be contributing, and then work with an expert to treat it. And that's where we shine. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we have protocols that are effective in nearly 90% of cases, which means we'll likely find the right treatment for you and you can get your sex life back. So call us. Your first appointment includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. We have 2 offices to serve you, Midtown and Franklin.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra, results vary.
Beach Bend Park. That's where my summer happens.
It's where my family's come for generations for great times.
It's where amusement rides and water park slides are just my size.
It's where my friends and I have a blast on the big thrill rides. It's where we can do all the attractions and not spend time in long lines.
It's where you can have unlimited thrills with a 2023 season pass for just $74.99. A pass pays for itself in 2 visits and comes with 2 anytime bring a friend free tickets, discounts, and more. Visit beachbend.com.
They talk sports.
The Predators get the 2 points, which is obviously what they needed.
They're not making big moves that are jaw-dropping signings in free agency.
They talk life.
Well, I almost just fell down the stairs, so there's that.
My backpack was so heavy, the seatbelt alarm was going off the entire trip.
But most of all, they have a good time.
Here or there.
Yeah.
Chase and Michelle, weekday mornings at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
For more than a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. In their car, at home, or on the job, more than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. AM radio is also the backbone of the emergency alert system, which keeps us safe in dangerous times. It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
So the question was, same scenario.
The question is this. The next 5 years play out however they play out. Yep. Either Barry Trotz is an awesome GM, terrible GM, somewhere in between. But John Hines is coaching that team for 5 years. Andrew Burnett is coaching that same team for 5 years. Confidence level scale of 1 to 10 in each guy. I'm going to ask both of you this question.
I mean, my answer in Burnett is probably a 5 because I don't really know. I would put Hines at a 4. That's about where I'm at. I mean, look, I think Andrew Burnett has a chance to be a good coach, but I don't know that. I mean, the 1 year he had in Florida was very impressive. So I like that. The power play work that he did and the path that he's taken to get here, I like. So I like a lot about Andrew Burnett. I have no idea how good of a head coach he really is. So I'd go 5 with Burnett. I'd go 4 with Hines.
Michelle?
So I'm going to actually put them both at a 5 because I think that, first off, we've seen what John Hines has done with an okay roster. I mean, I wouldn't say that the teams he's had here are, incredible, but I also think he coached this team. There were some years where, they could have been better. They could have been better at the beginning of this year, but I don't think what this team accomplished was, I don't think they could have accomplished so much more than what they did. And then on the Andrew Burnett side of things, yes, he took over in Florida, but I would say that roster was, they won the President's Trophy. The sample size is still just too small. He's had great teams there and also in New Jersey. So what does it look like when it's all you're starting from the beginning, you have a roster like this? So honestly, I'm going to give them both 5s.
So that was a couple weeks ago, and I could not believe my ears on the Robbie and Rex Road program. And, Robbie and Joe giving Hines a 4 and Burnett a 5, and then Michelle giving them both 5s, and then arguing later that it wasn't a lateral move. But that is in the past. Today, common sense has won. The New York Post has reported that Peter Laviolette is being hired as the next head coach of the New York Rangers, where he beat out John Hines for the job. And the reason why I played that cut coming back is because that was the whole big debate, right? I go on Robbie and Joe on Friday morning 2 weeks ago at 7 a.m., and I said Burnett's probably a 7 in terms of my confidence, Hines a 2, and then they rip that apart and say 5 and 4, and Michelle says 5 and 5, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting here after I saw the news that Laviolette got hired, when last week the reporting made it look like John Hines was going to get hired over Laviolette to be the head coach of the Rangers. And I wonder this: where would Laviolette fit in on this scale? Forget about Burnett for a second. But Hines and Laviolette, you have the same team, a decently competitive team. The Eastern Conference is stacked, whether it is Florida, whether it is Boston, whether it is kind of the older teams that still have some high-end guys at the end of their careers. And if they could just not do stupid things like trade for Mikhail Granlund, then the Pittsburghs and the Washingtons might be okay. They've got the younger teams that, are hot, like New Jersey. It's the Eastern Conference in the NHL is rough. But you've got a solid team with great goaltending in the Rangers. And you've got Hines or Laviolette. And if you had asked me my confidence level, I would have given you an 8 on Laviolette and a 0 on John Hines with the Rangers. I mean, I thought the idea of John Hines being the coach of the Rangers was an unmitigated disaster. With Laviolette, I know what you're going to get. The Rangers are going to be good. They're going to make the playoffs. And then there's a chance that Laviolette could work his magic in the playoffs like he has before. Like he did in Philadelphia, like he did in Carolina, and obviously like he did here. And it wasn't a one-year thing with Laviolette. Yeah, it was 1 year they went to the Cup. But, I mean, they were right there with the Blackhawks in 15. They went to 7 games in the second round with the eventual champions of the Western Conference in 16. Obviously 17 and 18 was, again, game 7 of the second round. So the fact that Laviolette didn't win in Washington, I thought that was a combination of that group got old and they had poor goaltending. It wasn't that Peter wore out his welcome because he wasn't there long enough. Obviously, I'm a big Laviolette fan. I thought Laviolette was a great coach here. I think Laviolette is a great coach. Now, I'm not as big of a believer that he's got a shelf life as everybody else is, where they just think that that's proofs in the pudding and he's 5 years and then you can't stand him anymore. That's for everybody else to decide. I will say this: I can't see Laviolette at his age, with his personality. I can't see Laviolette being the coach for the Rangers for 10 years. Like, I cannot see that. But I certainly think it's a lot better than John Hines. And I look at Laviolette and all the playoff games he's won. He's won 78 playoff games in his career. All the playoff series that he's won. The 3 Cup final appearances. And what does John Hines have on the resume? If you're looking at the stream, I got it right there in front of you. 0. 8 years and 0. And they were going to try to hire this man to be the head coach of the New York Rangers. And I'm going to be honest, I kind of wanted them to do it. I kind of wanted the Rangers to hire Hines, because if the Rangers did hire Hines, then, when push came to shove, and he lost, because he would have, in my opinion, taken a playoff contender. And I mean, a team that in that East is right there with everybody else. And they would have either barely made the playoffs or barely missed the playoffs, because that's how he is. And the New York media would have crushed him. And I would have laughed to the bank. I would have never let Joe Rexrode live that down. I mean, that would have been Jadeveon Clowney all over again. But at the end of the day, I'm a fan of common sense. And common sense won here. I think Laviolette is a good coach for what the Rangers are trying to do. I think Laviolette, he is a mercenary. You hire Laviolette, and he will be your coach for about 6 or 7 years, and you will win some games, and then he will piss a lot of people off. And in New York, I think he'll piss a lot of people off. Either he'll piss a lot of people off, or they'll love him, because that's kind of his style. And in New York, it's a very distinctive thing. But he's not going there to be Joe Torre. He's going there to be Pat Riley. That's what Laviolette's going to do. And I think Laviolette's going to do a good job. I think Laviolette's a great coach. And I'm not sitting here today, though I did argue it at the time that I felt like Laviolette should have gotten the rest of the 1920 season in order to work things through. And I know, Adam Vingan, and they'll say it was broken and it was this and it was, I know. But I think he should have I felt like he had earned it here and they didn't give it to him to finish that last season. But regardless, it was, I'm not going to say it was time to move on when they did, but I don't think Laviolette would still be the coach, even if they hadn't made that change when they did. Laviolette did a lot of great things, and I believe Laviolette deserves a banner at Bridgestone Arena one day. But this idea that they were going to hire John Hines, oh my goodness. And I've told you about my producer, Aaron York at SiriusXM, great guy. He's a big Rangers fan. Caitlin Rundle, another one of our producers, big Devils fan. And we were texting with him about, I hope your team doesn't hire John Hines. And he texted me today, just Laviolette in all caps with a bunch of exclamation points. And I said on Twitter, you and all you Ranger fans should be happy because Laviolette is 10 times the coach John Hines is. Or I guess he really isn't 10 times the coach because what's 10 times 0? It's 0. So I guess that doesn't, he is a much better coach. Much. And I'm glad that even though Hines was buddies with the general manager of the Rangers from college, somebody at Madison Square Garden said, no, we're not doing that. We're not bringing John Hines with 8 years of nothing. We're not bringing him to Broadway and Madison Square Garden. And that's the right call. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. And congratulations, by the way, to Peter. I'm happy for Peter. I think that he'll do a good job. Coming up next on Stillman and Company, somebody's got to explain to me something that every single person outside of Nashville, Tennessee thinks that I'm not sure any person inside of Nashville, Tennessee thinks. And I wonder what DeAndre Hopkins actually thinks. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 615-737-1025. And let's give something away today because, well, we gave it away late yesterday. We'll give it away early today. Be caller 5 at 615-737-1025, and you will win a pair of 2-day passes to the Evolution Festival in St. Louis on August 26th and 27th. The festival features the Black Keys, the Black Crows, Brandi Carlile, Ben Harper, and the Innocent Criminals. Good luck on that. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
I think there's a lot of talent. The Predators' offseason plan is taking shape as incoming GM Barry Trotz and new head coach Andrew Burnett look towards the NHL draft in late June.
It's a really exciting time. I think there's really exciting players.
How much change will they see with the Predators roster?
Big premium on development right now with our young guys. That is our lifeline.
We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Everyone is loving what Genesis Diamonds is doing right now with the lowest interest rates on the planet. Right now, get 0% interest for 5 years on any purchase. A handcrafted Tacori, A-Joppi, or Viraggio ring with a GIA certified diamond for only $100 a month. Wedding bands, color bands, fashion necklaces, just $40 a month. Pick any item, pay $0 down, and spread your payments over 5 years. Even the sales tax. Don't miss this amazing offer. All natural and lab-grown diamonds included. Now through July 1st only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit, see store for details.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
It's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest gifts for dads and grads. Featuring the tailor-made Stealth 2 drivers. The Stealth 2 drivers combine 60 layers of carbon for more speed and longer distance to unlock forgiveness. And from Bushnell, the new Tour V6 Series laser rangefinders provide you the most accurate distances in golf. There's always gift cards for dads and grads in any amount. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, and shop us in store or online at edwinwattsgolfshops.com.
Now, your Game Center update.
Brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Free agent wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins reportedly left his visit with the Titans without a contract offer. Hopkins is next set to visit with the New England Patriots. Rap Sheet on the NFL Network with the latest.
He's got a choice of a lot of teams. Interesting that he chose the Titans and Patriots, which says to me that at least he believes those guys are going to be in the ballpark of what might get it done to sign him.
The Denver Nuggets were crowned NBA champions last night for the first time in franchise history as they took down the Miami Heat in 5 games. The Vegas Golden Knights will be looking to do the same on the ice tonight in Game 5 of the Cup Final versus Florida. Hear all the action beginning at 6:30 right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. The Nashville Sounds return to First Horizon Park this week to host the Gwinnett Stripers. Catch coverage tonight at 6:20 on your home of the Sounds, 94.9 The Fan. This update brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. From the Game Nashville studios, this is Ian Safar.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUZ HD2 Laverne.
Chase Elliott scores the win in the Ally 400 at the Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Gonna go 3 wide into turn number 1.
The fastest car won the race.
Checkered flag is in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live, thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Tough crowd out there. I just was checking Twitter, and Kyle on Twitter says, I turn on Jared Stillman to hear about the Titans, and he's talking New York Rangers hockey. I'm with it. Let's go Rangers, tighten up. And I'm like, tough crowd. Guy turns in for one segment. I mean, Ian, how many segments have we done this week? 16 yesterday and 4 today. So we're at 20 segments for the week, and how many of them have been on the Titans?
19. Maybe 18.
Okay. And so we got, like, if you count the, me drinking a beer at Floyd's Bar in Turks as a Titan segment, which I guess I do, if you count that, then it's 19. I mean, Kyle, come on, baby. Now, I did see that Robbie Stanley just quote tweeted the Rangers tweet announcing that they were making it official with Laviolette. And all I could see were all the replies that were like, well, at least it's not John Hines. And I got to say, man, that one kind of got me a little bit. But there is one thing that I don't think anybody outside of Nashville, Tennessee believes, that I firmly believe. And I think most of you believe this. And that is, let's just say all things are equal. You're DeAndre Hopkins, and the Titans are offering you 1 year and however much money you want it. Let's say 1 year, $9 million. Let's start there. The Titans are offering you 1 year, $9 million. The Patriots are offering you 1 year, $9 million. I have no idea why DeAndre Hopkins would pick the Patriots over the Titans. Now, 5 years ago, I would fully expect DeAndre Hopkins in that instance to pick the Patriots over the Titans. But it's not 2019 anymore. And the Patriots have not been good for a while. So I'm really not convinced of a lot of things here. One, I'm not convinced that the Patriots are actually real players for Hopkins, which we'll get to in a second. And I'm certainly not convinced that the Patriots would be a better option than the Titans. It's easy for me to say, and I think a lot of fans think this, hey, when it comes to Buffalo, Kansas City, Cincinnati, the Jets, those teams with elite quarterbacks, fine. And if you want to argue with me, Dallas and Dak Prescott, because it's the Cowboys and because Dak's reputation is better than Tannehill's, if you want to argue that, okay. But if you're sitting here and you're telling me that Mac Jones is better than Ryan Tannehill, I'm sorry. Now, I don't think Mac Jones was set up to fail last year, but he's not even for sure the starter this upcoming season. It is a quarterback battle between him and Bailey Zappi. So that's the first thing. Secondly, I think the shine is off the apple when it comes to Belichick. Again, 2018, 2016, 2014, not even close. But when I look at the two coaches right now, Belichick and Vrabel, I see that since Tom Brady walked out the building, which happened to be because he lost to Mike Vrabel, Bill Belichick has done nothing but sniff the playoffs and get absolutely hammered in those playoffs. Since Brady's last game with the Patriots, Mike Vrabel's won 2 divisions. He's been to an AFC championship game. He's had the number 1 seed, in which he didn't lose that game for that team, although him going for 2 when he did against the Bengals was freaking stupid. But, I mean, to be where we are right now, I personally would go Vrabel over Belichick. And then there's reasons why I don't think the Patriots are real players for Hopkins, and that's because the Patriots never pay that. They didn't pay Troy Brown. They didn't pay Deion Branch. That's why he held out and went to Seattle. They didn't pay Randy Moss after he went crazy, went on his reclamation tour, and then wanted a new contract. They sent him back to Minnesota. They didn't pay Wes Welker. Remember when he went to Denver? They brought in Danny Amendola as a free agent because they lost Wes Welker. Bill does not pay receivers. I have to think that the most jaw-dropping wow deal that they signed with a receiver over the last handful of years was Antonio Brown for that couple of games he played, and we knew that that was a Brady is furious with you tax. Outside of that, Belichick has relied his entire tenure on Tom Brady taking guys like Rashay Caldwell and making them better players. I mean, look at some of their receiving cores. David Patton, David Givens, and they never pay these guys. They let these guys go to free agency every year. Jacoby Myers, a homegrown, undrafted free agent, they let go to the Raiders. So Bill has never valued the wide receiver position. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Outside of N'Keal Harry, has Bill used a first-round pick in 20 years as general manager / coach of the Patriots? Has Bill used a first-round pick on a receiver? So I'm trying to figure out on what planet are the New England Patriots a better fit for DeAndre Hopkins than the Titans. And the Patriots are traditionally a cheap organization. Now, I can also argue that the Titans are traditionally a cheap organization, the way that people talk about them. But I certainly think the Titans are willing to spend money more than the Patriots. The Titans spent money on Julio Jones. They spent money on Bud Dupree. They spent money on Jadeveon Clowney. They spent money on Vic Beasley. They spent money on like Jeffrey Simmons. So yeah, they do some stupid things like ask Kevin Byard to take a pay cut or trade A.J. Brown. But I don't think the Titans are a cheap team. Now, their payroll is towards the bottom of the league, which I don't like. But the Rams have the lowest payroll right now in the NFL, and I don't think any of us would say that the Rams are a cheap team. But over the years, the Patriots have been a cheap team. Look at the cash spent. Belichick even brought it up after the season was over about how they don't spend the kind of money in New England that everybody else in the league spends. So with DeAndre, I've thought most of this discussion has been all about money. But yet, even if it's not about money, I would still take the Titans over the Patriots. Quarterback, who would you rather have throwing you the ball, Tannehill or Mac Jones? I would vote Tannehill. Who would you rather have coaching you? Vrabel, a guy who players, I think, respect because he was a player, even though he's a total hard ass. It's like, he's a younger guy and he seems to have more fun and he holds guys accountable, but he pushes you. And then there's Grumpy Belichick. Success of late, Titans over Patriots. Wide receiver situation, I would say Titans over Patriots because there is a clear gaping hole for DeAndre Hopkins to fill at wide receiver 2. With New England, they just paid Juju Smith-Schuster. They drafted Tyquan Thornton in the second round last year. They've got Devontae Parker. They've got Kendrick Bourne. And again, they are traditionally a cheap organization. What is it about the Patriots other than the fact that the Patriots 8 years ago were the Patriots? What is it about that would make DeAndre want to be there instead of here? Whereas, again, I flip on the TV and all I ever hear about is how DeAndre Hopkins should take the Patriots over the Titans 10 times out of 10. I mean, yesterday I was watching Fox, and that show that I really don't watch much with Chris Broussard on there. They were debating the Titans and the Patriots for DeAndre Hopkins, and some host, some guy I've never seen, looks like he's straight out of a Hammacher Schlemmer ad. This guy is sitting there in a suit and tie talking about, oh, no, you wouldn't want to play for the greatest coach ever. I'm like, buddy, have you turned on a TV? Bill Belichick, I mean, the reputation of Bill Belichick is not the same as what it was 5 years ago. And let me tell you whose fault that is. Bill's. So I don't know what. And then the other thing, the wild card in all of this that we don't know anything about, we all thought DeAndre Hopkins hated Bill O'Brien. Do they hate each other? I don't know anymore. But I certainly don't think that he absolutely loves him after how that ended. So, again, I flip on TV and Dan Orlovsky and the Hammacher Schlemmer guy on Fox Sports 1 on the show with Broussard. I mean, they're sitting there talking about the Patriots like they're still Tom Brady's Patriots. And I think if you think that the New England Patriots are that good of a team and you look at the Patriots and you think the Patriots, I think you're living in yesteryear. I mean, that's like these people that look at some of these college football programs or college basketball programs and they think Nebraska will always be good at college football. Dude, Nebraska ain't been good in forever. The Patriots haven't been good since Tom Brady left. And so now I'm supposed to believe that all of a sudden they're better than the Titans? That would be a better choice? Look, again, they said it on TV, so it must be true, but I don't see. I just, one, I don't think the Patriots are major players for DeAndre, and two, I don't know why DeAndre would want to go there unless they just pay him the most money, which is completely against the grain of what the Patriots do. So maybe I'm the one who's crazy. I don't know. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. And does Belichick really want DeAndre Hopkins? And I heard something yesterday that made me think this could be Bill screwing around. We'll get to that next. 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company, 1025-1063 The Game.
This fall,
Andy, 24-21, your final.
The Game.
All by himself for a one-hand flash.
Gets bigger.
The doors on the board.
Your new home for Vanderbilt Athletics is 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan. Football, men's basketball, baseball, and women's basketball all live here. Your home for Vanderbilt Athletics is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and 94.9 The Fan.
Sometimes you want a sure return on your investment. That's where certificates of deposit, CDs, come into play. At F&M Bank, we've been providing smart choices to customers for over a century, including CDs that are a great way to save. You make a deposit and collect the earnings on your terms. Great rates, predictable results, and backed by the FDIC. That's smart banking. Life is complicated. Banking shouldn't be. MyFMBank.com. Banking made easy on purpose. Member FDIC.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better place to get in on the MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/JGM to join today. That's up to $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/JGM to join today. Let me tell you something. The Mets are stinking it up. I'm a little surprised by that, but my goodness gracious. So don't miss your chance to snag a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500 when you join FanDuel today. Go to FanDuel.com/JGM to sign up. FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
For more than a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. In their car, at home, or on the job, more than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. AM radio is also the backbone of the emergency alert system, which keeps us safe in dangerous times. It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Richmar Florist is family-owned and operated since 1955 and one of the top 100 florist companies in the country, providing their customers with quality flowers sourced from around the world and handcrafted floral arrangements. Richmar Florist is a proud sponsor of NASCAR and the Nashville Superspeedway, proudly serving the stars of NASCAR, IndyCar, and Hollywood, such as Elton John, Ozzy Osbourne, Alexander Rossi, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and many more. Learn more at richmarflorist.com. Richmar Florist, Pennsylvania-based, Tennessee strong.
Buffalo Bills Center of the West in Cody, Wyoming welcomes you as you enter Yellowstone Park's east entrance. 5 museums in one and the greatest firearms museum anywhere. Welcome to the West. Buffalo Bills Center of the West, Cody, Wyoming.
Anyone want to tell me what happened?
Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to theGameNashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Also, report that you guys are going to have DeAndre Hopkins in tomorrow. Is that accurate?
I don't know about that. Talk to him. Working through it. I'm not sure.
When you mentioned some uncertainty about whether or not Hopkins might visit, is that because...
They asked about the date. I'm not sure.
Okay. But is the plan for him to be here this week?
We're working through it, so I don't really have anything to add to that.
I didn't know if the uncertainty was on his end or on your end, whether or not you wanted to have him
No, I
here.
think it relates more to the logistics and things like that. So I'm not really a travel agent here. I'm not going to say it's going to happen here or not going to happen, or well, there's a lot of other stuff going on that I'm not directly involved in, and so I'm not going to say anything. And then, you turn around and say, "Oh, I misled you in some way," because that's not what I'm going to do.
Good job, Nancy.
Yeah, right. Get Nancy up here.
What would he bring to the table should things work out?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about players that aren't on the team. You know that.
Still ask.
Yeah, just throw it out there. Okay.
never
Put that
know.
line in the water.
You never know.
I love the idea. I'm not going to talk about players that aren't on the team. But then when you ask a guy like Belichick about a player on the team, he doesn't say anything. But that's just Bill in general. So DeAndre Hopkins is headed to the Patriots. First reported by Jordan Schultz that he will take the visit after visiting with the Titans. Tom Pelissero reported to NFL Network that the Titans did not make an offer to DeAndre Hopkins. And yet I keep looking at the Patriots and I keep thinking to myself, Belichick already spent at wide receiver this year when they went out and got Juju Smith-Schuster. Now, they had a need because they lost Jacoby Myers and they traded away Jonnu Smith, who didn't play for them really at all. But they put their money. They do not spend a lot of money except for 2 years ago. They do not spend a lot of money in free agency, and they used their money, and they did it to go get Juju Smith-Schuster. So now they're kind of in the mix for DeAndre, at least a little bit, but a traditionally cheap organization that has never spent at wide receiver is now going to be interested in DeAndre Hopkins, a 31-year-old. Now, the way Belichick is, I believe Belichick is the guy who loves the deal. That if you told Bill, hey, we're going to stay the night in a hotel, and I love that, and not that I'm endorsed by it, but I use Hotwire when I book hotels. I'm not one of these guys who has like a Marriott rewards program or a Hilton honors program, or, I am not loyal to one brand of hotel. I like the deal. And so with the hot wires and the price lines and they'll tell you a 5-star hotel, normally $800 a night for $100. And I love stuff like that. And that's how Belichick is when it comes to running an NFL team. Belichick loves the 4th round pick for Randy Moss. Belichick loves the swap for Wes Welker. Belichick loves developing Julian Edelman. That's what Bill likes to do. And Hopkins, while he could be viewed as a reclamation project, like Corey Dillon was when he went from the Bengals, like Randy Moss was when he came over from Oakland, not at the price that it seems like Hopkins is going to want. And Pat Kerwin, NFL radio, longtime executive, former coach as well, longtime media guy. He used to work with Belichick. And this kind of aligns with a lot of the things that I've heard about Bill over the years about the quirkiness for how Bill Belichick operates to find those guys. And it doesn't exactly line up with kind of what it feels like they would be doing right now for DeAndre Hopkins.
When I was with Coach Belichick, he was really interested in the market. He was very interested in subtle little things like some people would say, well, you're wasting your time with that. But he wanted to know things about, not college free agents so much, even those a little bit, but he was really interested in the street free agents. What was the average signing bonus? Was anyone giving him a signing? But he wanted to know, and those are little deals. But he studied it all. So I think he's got an idea of where the market is.
So he's really looking at this DeAndre thing, and I wonder if he's more so just kicking the tires just to see, or if he looks at the deal. Again, 5-star hotel, normally $800. You can get it tonight for $87 plus the resort fee and the tax. And I wonder if that's what he's trying to do with DeAndre. Where, again, the value that I think DeAndre statistically sits is $10.875 million. Those were the numbers that I crunched based on the production that Hopkins had last season, deals that have been signed this offseason, guys who have contracts that have been acquired that had the same production as DeAndre, both in catches and yards and new deals. And when I averaged them all out, it came out to 10.875. That, in my opinion, is the value of DeAndre Hopkins. So that doesn't mean that that's what I'd be willing to pay. Because if I'm the Titans, I'd be willing to pay more because I understand that there is a tax that I would have to pay on the fact that A, I'm not a premier team, B, I don't have a premier quarterback, and C, I don't have a second receiver. So I'd pay 12.5, but I know that the value is 10.875. Well, Bill is probably looking at the 10.875, and they probably want to see if DeAndre would take $3-4 million, because then again, 4-star hotel, usually $426 a night. You can get it for $250. And I think that's what Bill's doing. And that's why just Bill's history makes it hard for me to think that the Patriots are real players when it comes to keeping DeAndre Hopkins away from you. Could there be a mystery team out there? Scott Boras, the legendary baseball agent, for years always had the mystery team where it was there'd be one big free agent who everybody knew that he wanted to go either to the Yankees or to the Red Sox, and every year it was always, well, the Angels really want Jared Weaver, but the mystery team has made a big offer. And then the Angels ended up beating out the mystery team. And the Tigers, all those years that the old man owned the team, they always found a way, whether it was Prince Fielder, Miguel Cabrera, they always beat out the mystery team. And so when I think of who the Titans could lose DeAndre to, I think if the Titans, and Jordan Schultz said yesterday on our show, that if the Titans offered DeAndre $12.5 million, he doesn't think DeAndre would take it, because what he's heard is that DeAndre wants to spend the time talking to teams and getting to know them and then making a decision for himself, which might be true, but I feel like 12.5 is so much money and so much more money than he's being offered now that DeAndre might take it. That it might be like, hey, man, take it or leave it. Fine, take it. But the Titans didn't offer it. Now, the Titans, they like a deal too. But they're not as scandalous. Scandalous isn't the right word. They're not as obvious in their we want a deal as bad as New England is. Like the Andre Dillard thing, that's a we want a deal. A left tackle for $10 million when the going rate for a good left tackle is $25 million. But Andre Dillard's not a 5-star hotel. And Hopkins at this point is not a 5-star either, but he could be. And that's where I look at Belichick and I'm like, is he really interested in trying to sign DeAndre Hopkins and the money for, or is Bill just trying to see and kicking that tire? And if the tire kicks back, then Bill says, fine, let's do it. $4 million. But the idea of the Bill Belichick offering him $10 million, I can't see that happening. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. How about them Vols? Last year, they had the 27 Yankees of college baseball, and they couldn't make it out of the Super Regionals, and now they are back to Omaha, second time in 3 years. And I hope this chaps somebody's ass. I'll explain who. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company, 615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you want to weigh in at 615-737-1025. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Those are my guys. They have taken great care of my home for years, and I promise you that they can do the exact same for you. Their heat wave heroes are keeping you from getting burned this summer. If you know that your home needs an air conditioning replacement, do not wait until it breaks down, because you do not want to be sweating in your home. This month, get a free UV light and free electronic air cleaner when you buy select new HVAC systems. Or get a whole home water filtration for just $59 a month. Or get a new whole home generator for just $139 a month. Call Hiller's Heatwave Heroes to save the day. Visit happyhiller.com to book. Their work is backed by the Happy You'll Be Your Services free guarantee, and I know that because Hiller takes great care of my home. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
All the big plays.
And we are done. Vandy 24-21.
All the big stories.
I'm sure Vandy will be a much better team if Clark Lee is the coach.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
What a stop by UC Sarah.
Then he wouldn't end up on my team.
Driving his way to victory lane.
I think that's the right strategy. The Game and the Game Nashville app.
3 days of racing, 3 days of music, one huge weekend event. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is not just a race or a festival, it's an experience. Multiple music stations with Flo Rida, Vince Neil, Chris Jansen, Gavin DeGraw, and more. Fast cars going over 200 miles an hour. And a family fun zone with inflatables, Ferris wheels, kids games, and kid-friendly food trucks. Tickets and premium hospitality are on sale now. Go to MusicCityGP.com for tickets and get ready to experience Nashville's premier speed and sound event.
Genesis Diamonds has the lowest interest rates on the planet because we never stop thinking about our customers. Right now, you can get 0 interest financing on any purchase. Beautiful tennis bracelets or 5-stone rings starting at only $35 a month. Those 4-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings just $115 a month. Get Genesis low price, pay nothing down, and spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. Rings, pendants, bands, one-of-a-kind designer jewelry, pre-owned Rolex watches. Now through July 1st only. Only at Genesis Diamonds. Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit, see store for details.
It's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest gifts for dads and grads. Featuring the Titleist TSR drivers. Elevate your game and hit faster, longer, and straighter with the Titleist TSR drivers. And from Bushnell, the new Tour V6 Series laser rangefinders provide you the most accurate distances in golf. There's always gift cards for dads and grads in any amount. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, and shop us in store or online at edwinwattsgolfshops.com.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
The Stanley Cup Final lives here. Which team will hoist Lord Stanley's Cup in 2023? Follow all the action on Smashville's home for postseason hockey. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck on Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Burns. Line out to first base. Burke was waiting. And look out, Omaha. Here comes Tennessee. Tennessee topples Southern Miss 5-0. And the Vols return to the Men's College World Series for the second time in 3 years.
How about them Vols, baby? Yeah. Yeah, how many Tennessee fans out there never cared about baseball or thought baseball was so boring or baseball, over the last decade, that in the last 3 years are now all in. They know the starting rotation, they know the bullpen, they know the lineup, they know the transfer portal, because they're all in on their baseball team. And Tennessee is headed back to Omaha. Now, I think this is incredible. This is baseball. I tried to tell you Tennessee fans this last year when Vanderbilt fans were stomping all over your grave after your number one team lost in the Super Regionals. And I said, guys, baseball is a different sport. It's not basketball. It's not the NCAA basketball tournament where if a 9 seed beats a 1, you screwed the pooch. This is, one day, one guy goes out there and you've never heard of him before, and he throws a complete game shutout, or he gives you 7 innings, even though the most he's thrown all year is 6 innings for the whole season. Stuff like that. It's crazy how it happens in baseball. For Tennessee, it was the big win over Virginia in the second game of the regional that has really been, Clemson, that has really propelled them to where they are right now. And I think they were better than Southern Miss. And so I'm glad. I thought, their resume was better, and I thought they should have been hosting. So, great. But here's something I was thinking about, which is, 2019 was not last year. If you're 8 years old, 2019 was a long time ago. If you're like me and you're in your 30s, 2019 feels like it was 5 minutes ago, but it wasn't yesterday. And that's the last time Vanderbilt won the national championship. And so since COVID, wiped out the 2020 baseball season. Tennessee has been to Omaha twice, the Super Regional 3 years in a row, and the 1 year they didn't go to Omaha, they had the best team for the entire season in college baseball. That is a powerhouse-like program. Vitello shows up in 18, they go to the tournament in 19, 20 gets wiped out, and they've been dominant as you can be in baseball ever since. Last night, I thought that the Tennessee game might be on, and I flipped it, but they still had Stanford and Texas on, and they were talking on that TV broadcast and said, these are the only two teams that made it to Omaha last year that are still alive, in Stanford and Texas. So baseball is a different kind of sport. And it's a one game here, one game there, one play here, one play there. You know, I keep telling you all about Xavier. If Xavier plays defense in the 8th inning against Oregon, I think they're probably with their pitching staff in the College World Series. But because they didn't have any arms after they used all three to beat Vanderbilt, you know, after they used the first guy against Oregon and the second guy to beat Eastern Illinois and then the third guy against Vanderbilt, they go out there with the next guy, you know, with his arm. They don't have anybody after they beat Vanderbilt, and they ended up getting shellacked. But I think Xavier would be in the College World Series if they had won that first game by not playing defense in the latter half of the first game of their regional. That's how small the difference between a regional loss and a trip to the World Series might be. But again, over time, Tony Vitello, this Tennessee program, they've proven that they are a successful baseball program and that they're not a one-hit wonder and that they are here to stay. And I really hope, and I don't know if it does or doesn't, but I really hope that that gets right up the keister of Tim Corbin. If I was a Vanderbilt fan, I would want Tim Corbin, even though he would never say anything. Because a kind of guy like Corbin, the last thing he's going to do is let his rival know that he's upset that his rival is having success when he's been on his butt after the regional each of the last 2 years. But if you're a Vanderbilt fan, this has to be painful for you. That baseball, which is your sport, again, how many people watched stayed up late last night through all the rain delays and lightning delays and all the things they had this weekend? How many don't give a darn about baseball Tennessee fans stayed up through all this because we love the Vols, Jared? And how many of them are celebrating and are talking about a national championship and are all the things that Vandy typically gets to do this time of year? And like I said, 2019 was not yesterday. Now, it wasn't an eon ago, but it was not 5 minutes ago. Vandy won the title in 19. Since then, COVID wiped out 2020. They went to the World Series in 21. Regional. That's not good enough. And how many years does it take before all of a sudden you're just not that good anymore? How long does it take for Vanderbilt to keep getting beaten the regional and Tennessee to keep ending up in Omaha or having the number one team in the country with Tony Vitello as the coach? How many years in a row does that have to happen before all of a sudden we can say that Vanderbilt is legitimately behind Tennessee? We cannot say that Vanderbilt is behind Tennessee today. But if this happens again next year, I think we probably can. Because it feels like, and we talked about Bill Belichick and the Patriots earlier this hour, and the idea of, the Patriots are the Patriots. And the Titans, are the Titans. So DeAndre would rather go to the Patriots instead of the Titans because the Patriots are, the Patriots. But the Patriots haven't been good since 2019 either. That was the last Super Bowl with Brady in that 2018 season with the Super Bowl in 2019. And since then, What are the Patriots? So Vandy baseball still is good. They still went to the College World Series in 2021, though I'm not going to give them credit for winning kind of their side of the bracket to get to that showdown with Mississippi State, only because, I mean, I think NC State probably would have beat them. And if it wasn't for the whole COVID thing, so I'm not going to sit here. Now, if they'd won the national championship, I wouldn't be taking it away from them. But I'm not going to sit here and give Vandy credit like, oh, well, they got to the second part of the College World Series, which Tennessee didn't, so that should count. No, we're not doing that. They got to the World Series in 21. They won the SEC this year. They were a national seed, but, man, nobody cares about that stuff. That's like winning in the regular season in the NHL or the NBA. I mean, I'll tell you, congratulations to all these great regular season NHL. Congratulations to the Boston Bruins on the year you got beat in the first round. And that's what I'm saying with Vandy baseball is I know, I'm sure there are some people that are really upset that say, oh, Jared, stop doing this. You're trying to pick a fight. You're looking at Tim Corbin's the greatest coach who ever coached. His farts do not stink. I'm sure that there are some people out there that think that. But I mean, hey, man, for years, Tim Corbin's had it easy because even though winning at Vanderbilt is never easy, and he put in the hard work at the bottom and built the thing from scratch, which I know because I used to go to camp at Vandy baseball. I remember listening when they didn't even have like a radio station to play baseball games, and they were playing Georgia in like 2001, and Jeremy Sowers was pitching, or maybe it was 2002, I can't remember, and I was listening to VUCommodores.com, and on the live stream broadcast, the guys were like, if you're one of the 3 people out there listening, thank you for listening. Like, I remember those days. So I know where Vandy baseball's come from. And I'm not discounting Corbin for that. But you can't have Tennessee win more than you consistently. And that's what's happening right now is it's starting to become consistent that Tennessee's baseball program is better than you. You can't have that. If you're Tim Corbin, and again, Tim Corbin will never, I'm not going to say never because I don't want to speak for the man. But I feel like if you were to ask Tim Corbin, what'd you do late last night? Did you stay up late, watch Tennessee versus Southern Miss, and throw your remote at every strike that was called against, what are they, the Southern Miss Golden Eagles? Is that what they are?
Yeah.
Did you throw your remote every time they called a guy out? Like, what? Did you do that? Or, I think, what we've been led to believe is Tim Corbin was working with his analytics staff on trying to figure out just how they can get a little bit more spin rate on the baseball next year, because the analytics say that if they go into the pitching lab and they work on getting that spin rate a little bit better, that Tuesday game next year against Southern Alabama that they have early in the season that will propel them to, you know what I'm saying? Like, is Tim Corbin too good to yell and scream about his rival winning? Because if I was a Vandy baseball fan, I would be furious. I would be so sad that Tennessee is starting to pull away from me in my sport. I would be so sad about it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. Add that to the list of discussions that we're getting into here, Stillman and Company. And then here's the one thing that I'm glad Tennessee won. I know there's a lot of people out there that think that Tennessee baseball, is, that there's a lot of people out there that think I hate Tennessee baseball or hate Tennessee. But I'm glad Tennessee won. And there's one specific reason why. We'll get to that in your phone. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game has an all-star lineup Monday through Friday. Batting first at 6 a.m., it's Robbie and Rexroad.
Yeah, you take that. You take that. Take 80% of that.
Followed by Chase and Michelle at 9.
Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
I need my caffeine so much.
Then it's Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace at 11.
Yep, green light, let's go.
You've got a lot of options.
He say, she say. And bringing it home at 2, Jared Stillman for Stillman and Company.
That guy will be a good coach.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Sounds Baseball is back all week at First Horizon Park. Your Nashville Sounds take on the Atlanta Braves AAA affiliate Gwinnett tonight through Sunday. Bring your dog to the game tonight. Gates open at 5:30 and first pitch is set for 6:35. Get tickets at NashvilleSounds.com.
What's up, everybody? Michelle Knezovic here for Superbook Sports. Bring that big bet energy this summer with Superbook Sports. Superbook Sports is the most trusted name in the sports betting world. And right now, if you use the promo code THEGAME, THEGAME, to score up to $250 with their best first bet bonus. Win or lose, they will match your first bet up to $250 with the promo code THEGAME. Simply visit superbook.com for terms and conditions or download the Superbook Tennessee app in app stores. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Hey, it's John Tesh. You know why insurance companies use all those cute and funny characters? To distract you from realizing you're only getting one option. If you want to compare prices, you're forced to visit multiple websites just to get one quote at a time. But not with Xander Insurance, because they work for you. Xander is a broker that shops dozens of top companies to find the best competitive rates for the coverage you need, and they keep reviewing your policy every year to make sure you're getting the best value. They're always available to answer questions, handle problems, and make sure that when it comes to insurance, your life is simple and hassle-free. You even have direct access to their senior management team. If your current company or agent doesn't do this much for you, let Xander Insurance help. Compare rates online at Xander.com or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch. When Xander works for you, you're going to see the difference. Again, that's 800-356-1780, or you can visit Xander.com with no characters needed.
Tuning into the baseball game, monitoring the incoming storm, catching your favorite talk show. These are just a few of the reasons more than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio each month. And did you know AM radio is the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times? It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Imagine you're looking at a balancing scale with everything you do for other people on one side and everything you do for yourself on the other side. If it isn't balanced, maybe it's time to spend a little more time on you. And therapy is a great place to start. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist online who can help you find that balance and stick to it. Visit BetterHelp.com/score to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/score.
The sports talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Michelle Knezovic and Junie Riddle for Michelle and Junie.
As long as he wants to coach there, he will be able to coach there.
I think that really did save the hope of this team.
Michelle and Junie, presented by Superbook Sports, every Saturday morning at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
All the adversity you've discussed, where does this season rank amongst the most gratifying of your career?
That's tough. We're still going, so you really don't get a chance as an assistant. It was so much more fun. You can act wild or more wild, and play games in your head. And we got to be responsible for what the next step is. And there's still season to go, so I think it's not an unfinished tale. But there's a lot of stuff that's gone on. Started literally, again, losing's part of this deal. That's what we signed up for. You win some and you lose some, as they say. So, the end of last year was painful, but immediately, like a few hours after our season was over, a very challenging period in our program just started. A lot of different things. And to be sitting on the stage, advancing it's very memorable.
I'm proud of the Vols. You heard it here first. I said it. I know there's a lot of people out there that think that I am anti-Tennessee. I don't think that that's true. I don't think that that's fair. I did grow up anti-Tennessee, but I am not. I just tell it how I say. I grew up a Vanderbilt fan, and I think if you listen to the show enough, you know that I don't really root for Vanderbilt unless I feel like Vanderbilt's done something worth rooting for. I was rooting for the Vols, and here's why. Because I thought they got screwed by the NCAA tournament committee. That's who decided to put that super regional at Southern Miss. And it was because of one of two things. They talked about the merit of the bids. Tennessee had a better resume. Now, it was close between Tennessee and Southern Miss, but it wasn't that close. Tennessee had a better resume, and Tennessee should have been hosting. It's not like Tennessee's ballpark is some rinky-dink, crap house. It's good enough to host a super regional, and they should have hosted. And instead, they had to go to Southern Miss because there was about, 1,000 extra seats, and the NCAA makes their money off the gate. And so it was one of two things that led them out there to have to play in Hattiesburg. Either it was the straight up cash, which I think is the number one reason, because there were just more seats and the NCAA gets a higher cut of the gate in the NCAA tournament than they do with anything else. So they just, more money. Or, and I think this is possible too, the selection committee is usually made up of athletic directors and, people that know the game and so on and so forth. And it wouldn't surprise me if those people just don't like Tony Vitello. So those two things made me think that that's why they stuck that super regional out there in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, which I thought was completely unfair. I thought Tennessee should have been hosting. So because they got screwed, I'm glad they won. And so I know people think I hate the Vols, but I'm glad the Vols won and put it right up the keister of the committee who sent them out to Nowheresville and had them play through 18 lightning delays. To your phones, Maddie says, Vanderbilt fan here, and Vol baseball success eats me up. That is pretty much all we had in this rivalry. Tim better turn this around. And I said this last week. I said on the program, Tim Corbin has had it easy from the standpoint that at Vanderbilt, if they lost, it was always, well, we had a good season and the ball didn't bounce our way and Tim is the best and we're so lucky to have him. But now that Tennessee's good, there's this sense of, you better win those games. You better pay what you owe because Vanderbilt doesn't want Tennessee fans rubbing their face in the mud. And when Tennessee keeps going to Omaha and Vanderbilt's at home eating popcorn, that is exactly how Vandy fans feel. Ian, you think Corbin watched the game last night at home? You think he sat there and watched the games and, rooted against Tennessee? Or do you think Corbin's too good for that?
Well, I think he probably watched some of the game. Do I think he rooted against Tennessee? Not necessarily. I don't know. It got pretty late. I don't know how late it could stay up. I can make it all the way to the end myself, so I don't know.
He doesn't have a job outside of baseball. Like, that's his job.
He was probably watching. I don't think he was rooting against the Vols, though.
He has to root against the Vols.
You think so?
He's Vandy's coach.
I guess.
That's like saying, do you think Ryan Day watched the Michigan TCU game in the college football playoff and sat there and said, I don't care if Michigan ends up going to the national championship game?
Well, maybe. You think it's that extreme? I guess it should be if he wants to continue to win. But
what?
Something about Corbin, just I don't know. I don't know why it sticks out to me that he.
You think he's too good for that? You think he's too good to root against somebody, to root for somebody to fail?
I don't know if I'd say he's too. Maybe that's what you would call it. I don't know. I guess so.
Kevin says they made Omaha once now. Wrong, Kevin. They went 2 years ago. That's 2 out of the last 3, baby. Vanderbilt's been knocked out in the first round in each of the last 2 years, 2 of the last 3. Don't tell me that this is the first. Texter says the cocky and arrogant celebrations and showing up the opponent that UT baseball does is pathetic. Their fan base should be embarrassed. They deserve to lose. Now, look, I am going to say this. I think Tennessee baseball is a very low-class program. And I heard the midday show talking about this last week, about how after what happened, where they talked all the talk and then they ended up losing to Notre Dame and they didn't walk the walk, that maybe Tennessee has tried to dial that back. I don't watch a ton of college baseball. I certainly don't watch a ton of Tennessee college baseball. And so maybe they have done some of that. I don't know. But just the reputation that Tennessee has, I mean, it's got a lowbrow reputation. Like, I'm just going to call it how it is. Now, they will play the best baseball team that money can buy since George Steinbrenner's Yankees when they play LSU in the College World Series. And I'll tell you, I think I'm rooting for the Vols in that one too. I mean, I guess it's legal now to buy players, but LSU and the coaches that they have, I mean, Kim Mulkey, that women's basketball coach that won a national title, I mean, I always felt like when I was in women's basketball that she was one of the biggest cheaters out there. And I think she, again, talking about lowbrow and low class, Kim Mulkey is the definition of that. Will Wade, we know about his cheating in basketball. I mean, I got to say, and this baseball team is the greatest team that college baseball money can buy. I saw an ESPN article last week that apparently LSU has more prospects on their team than like 6 Major League Baseball whole organizations. So good luck to Tennessee.
LSU
when
versus
they take on LSU.
Tennessee. It's going to be a battle of the Fenton household. This should be fun. I didn't know this.
That is true.
That should be interesting.
Dylan from Nashville. Going to have to cut off the sleeves to fit in with the rest of the Tennessee fan base. Texture says the Vols have won 7 straight against Vanderbilt. It's not pulling away. It has been pure dominance. Boy, that series where Vanderbilt went up there and got swept. I mean, that can't happen anymore, Tim Corbin. Congratulations. Your success coupled with their success now means that you've got expectations that need to be filled. And there's no pats on the butt that say it's a good season anymore. Not when your rival is still playing in Omaha. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. So everybody is telling me that DeAndre Hopkins is no good anymore. I keep hearing that. I saw a stat today that made my eyes pop wide open. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The offseason is in full swing, but there's no slowing down ESPN's Teron Davenport.
The flow of information.
He talks the talk.
Spears gives you that guy that can still hit the home run.
And walks the walk.
As a run blocker, he's going to murder a linebacker at the second level.
On everything Titans, TD is on Mondays at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast. TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Everyone is loving what Genesis Diamonds is doing right now with the lowest interest rates on the planet. Right now, get 0% interest for 5 years on any purchase. A handcrafted Tacori, A Jaffe, or Veragio ring with a GIA certified diamond for only $100 a month. Wedding bands, color bands, fashion necklaces, just $40 a month. Pick any item, pay $0 down, and spread your payments over 5 years. Even the sales tax. Don't miss this amazing offer. All natural and lab-grown diamonds included. Now through July 1st only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit, see store for details.
The choice is yours. Wednesdays at 8:45. Brought to you by Jarrett Companies. Now hiring experienced sprinkler experts. Go to JarrettFire.com. JARRETT Fire.com. Jarrett Companies, a company above and beyond industry standards.
Father's Day is here. Save big on last-minute gifts for Dad at Electronic Express. Don't miss a TCL 55-inch 4K TV for just $269 or an LG laundry pair for only $549 each. Get gifts for Dad with huge savings in every department. Computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture and mattresses, and more. Get a SkyTech gaming computer for $899 or a Traeger Pro Series grill for only $499. Get up to 3 years free financing throughout the entire store. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Now, your Game Center update.
Brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Free agent wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins reportedly left his visit with the Titans without a contract offer. Hopkins is next set to visit with the New England Patriots. Rap Sheet on the NFL Network with the latest.
He's got a choice of a lot of teams. Interesting that he chose the Titans and Patriots, which says to me that at least he believes those guys are going to be in the ballpark of what might get it done to sign him.
The Denver Nuggets were crowned NBA champions last night for the first time in franchise history as they took down the Miami Heat in 5 games. The Vegas Golden Knights will be looking to do the same on the ice tonight in Game 5 of the Cup Final versus Florida. Hear all the action beginning at 6:30 right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. The Nashville Sounds return to First Horizon Park this week to host the Gwinnett Stripers. Catch coverage tonight at 6:20 on your home of the Sounds, 94.9 The Fan. This update brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. From the Game Nashville studios, this is Ian Safar.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And a score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board.
Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Johnny Soccer, by the way, is mad at me in the text line. I just,
is it Caleb again? Caleb's the one who keeps texting us in the text line about that.
It's somebody doesn't have a name, just has the phone number, and they texted in and said, "What do you think of Nashville SC signing their first homegrown player?" I, by the way, responded and said, "Who cares?" And I certainly do not. And I was just kind of like scrolling up at the past texts. April 14th, 2022. How many soccer games has Jared been to? Bet it's not more than 3. So that was April of 22. So a year and a half ago. Do you think that's when we were railing on Nashville SC for having super high concession prices? I feel like that was earlier than April of last year that we were doing that.
That was probably it.
I mean, first of all, do college soccer games count as soccer games I've been to?
I guess technically, sure.
Well, then I've been to about 1,000 because I used to call college soccer games.
I mean, it just says soccer. It doesn't say MLS or Nashville SC.
So I went to, I think, an Olympic friendly or qualifier, or I don't know. I went to some Olympic thing in Birmingham in '96 when the games were in Atlanta. I've been to 2 Nashville SC games when they were USL. I went to 1 Nashville SC game at Nissan Stadium when my friend I went to college with was coaching on the other team. So that's at least 4 right there before we get into the azillion college soccer games I've been to. I mean, I called an Elite 8 soccer game when I was in college. So don't be sitting there telling me I haven't been to soccer. So he asked that, and then apparently on Wednesday, now I was off last Wednesday, but on Wednesday asked why we weren't talking about Messi, and then said you can't ignore the MLS forever. The time is now. I mean, I do think that the Messi thing is probably good for the MLS, but I got to say this, dude, this is Nashville, Tennessee. And Nashville SC it doesn't move the needle, folks. Like, I am not trying to sit here and get on to the soccer people, but I mean, not enough people care. I mean, we can talk about DeAndre Hopkins till the cows come home, and people listen, DeAndre. And the second we start talking about soccer, I can hear everybody's radios just start to click off. And I know this because Nashville SC can't even figure out how to get their games on the radio consistently. And I do have an issue with the idea of a soccer team that got free land from the city to build a stadium that cannot get their games consistently on the radio and that you have to pay for in order to watch on TV. I mean, I do have an issue with that. But I hate when people say, like, why don't you talk about it? We don't talk about it because not enough of you all care. So if you wanted us to care about Nashville SC, you would make our jobs dependent upon talking about Nashville SC, but there's just not enough of you. It's like telling a grocery store, why do you sell so much bread and eggs and milk? because that's what the people buy. So it drives me crazy when Johnny Soccer gets all mad about everything else. Texter says, as well as Nashville SC is playing, I would love to hear more talk about them over a 30th segment about DeAndre Hopkins. Hate to break it to you, but the mass audience wouldn't. And so, again, I'm not mad about it. Like, it is what it is. But I just think that when people ask a radio show to talk about something that not enough people care about, you have to realize that we're doing our jobs. We are not trying to sit here. And I didn't think that I'd do this segment to sit here and tell you that not enough people care about Nashville SC, but they just don't. And, you know, it's not my job to get people to care about Nashville SC. It's Nashville SC's job to get people to care about them, that we have to talk about them. That's how it works. I mean, I'm sorry, you cannot tell somebody, hey, man, we want you to have a show that people listen to. We're going to have advertisers that spend a lot of money on this program because they need people listening to the radio so that they will then patronize the advertisers, which I appreciate every single one of you, by the way, that does patronize our advertisers. But we also want you to talk about the things that not enough people care about. Can't do that. Sorry to be the one guy in town who's going to keep it real when it comes to, you know, why don't you talk about it, Nashville SC, enough? And then they'll either ignore that you said it to them, or they'll kind of either sugarcoat the truth, or they'll feel like they have to talk about it. This is not how I operate. I do not do equal radio for everybody. Like, oh, let's work in some segments about Lipscomb today. No disrespect to Lipscomb, but I'm not. Come on now. People sitting there saying, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Come on now. So I read a stat today about DeAndre Hopkins that I was kind of surprised by. Now, let me say this about stats and analytics and everything else. Sometimes I feel like you can find a stat to fit whatever narrative it is that you want to create. And when it comes to DeAndre Hopkins, yes, I want the Titans to sign DeAndre Hopkins, but I'm also not in love with DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, I recognize him for what he is, which is better than what you have right now, which is why I like DeAndre. But as far as anticipating that DeAndre Hopkins is going to be, you know, the DeAndre Hopkins of 2019 and the Titans are headed to the Super Bowl if they sign him, I'm not going that far. But there's always stats. There's always a stat here that points to this. Yesterday, I heard Willie talking about his analytic.com gurus who told us that Chris Moore and Nick Westbrook-Akina were better than DeAndre Hopkins or whatever it was. You know, it was something in that ballpark that I just thought, I mean, no. But that was the point they were trying to make. And I say this because I was reading The Athletic and Chad Graff wrote this. And again, like I said, with stats, you can make whatever you want for whatever stat you want it to be. Chad Graff writes, after serving a suspension to start the year, Hopkins only played in 7 games with starting quarterback Kyler Murray. In that 7-game span, Hopkins led the NFL in catches, turning his 56 receptions into 653 yards and 3 touchdowns. To put it in perspective, that 7-game stretch alone would have made Hopkins the Patriots' number 2 receiver last year, considering Jacoby Myers only topped 550 receiving yards a year ago. So again, 7 games with a real quarterback, and I am not a Kyler Murray fan. In 7 games with a real quarterback, apparently DeAndre Hopkins led the league in catches and had 653 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, if that's true, and you've got a starting quarterback who I know missed some time last year, but traditionally, since he's been your quarterback, has not missed a lot of time, I have to be honest, that makes me think there's still something there left in the tank. Now, for everybody that wants to excuse the fact that DeAndre missed the first 6 because DeAndre had a PED suspension, and so, well, that doesn't count. Yes, it does count, and it is concerning. Like, I need to know more about the PED suspension. We talked about the idea of the Titans trying to decide if they want DeAndre Hopkins as much as DeAndre Hopkins on his visit was here to decide whether or not he wanted to be a Titan. Well, I think that discussion has to come up. What happened with the PEDs? How did it happen? But outside of that, and outside of the 2 games at the end of the year that supposedly DeAndre didn't want to play in because the team was terrible, I feel like when he plays, he's pretty good. I mean, when he plays with a real quarterback, and you've got a real quarterback, I mean, I think that there is a chance. I think there is a chance that Ryan Tannehill has a better year this year than last year, just simply because of the changes they've made around him. Getting rid of Todd Downing, bringing in somebody else who's not Todd Downing, adding some help on the offensive line. I think those things alone, if Treylon Burks stays healthy, that'll make Tannehill better. I think Tannehill's better than Kyler Murray. If I had to pick right now for one season, and let's say Murray's knee was healthy, and I had to pick for one season between Tannehill or Murray, I'm taking Tannehill. And so in the games that he played with a real quarterback, DeAndre Hopkins was one of the best receivers in the league. But that doesn't necessarily mean that DeAndre is one of the best receivers in the league. And that goes back to the initial theory that I had here, which was that at the end of the day, we can take the stats to make them say whatever we want. Derek yesterday was arguing that DeAndre Hopkins wasn't that good anymore. And when hearing about how they need to give more chances to Kyle Phillips and Chris Moore, I thought I was going to go crazy when I heard that. But, I mean, this whole idea that DeAndre Hopkins can't play anymore, and it sounds like all these teams are all worried about DeAndre Hopkins and they don't want to give him big time money and I have my concerns for sure. But when I look at the money and I look at the production with a quarterback, if that is in fact exactly what happened, and I do need to go into the film room here at some point this week. I need to watch, the DeAndre Hopkins tape from last year and see, what's there and what's that. And I'm not talking about a highlight clip. I mean, I'm talking about the real tape to see if it's there. But if he's going to be the best receiver in the league for the 5 seconds last year that he had a real quarterback, that does make me think that we need to consider the possibility that DeAndre still has a chance to be DeAndre if you set him up right. And if he has a chance to be DeAndre, given your defense, your coach, your running back, it'd be foolish not to bring him in when you don't have anything close to the old DeAndre at wide receiver to begin with. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones on this here on Stillman and Company. And there's a real reason why I feel like the Titans need DeAndre Hopkins. Why they need him. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106 The Game.
It's going down. It's going down. It's going down. They fight.
Jared, you're
How do you know, Joe? How do you know?
And fight.
And because of that,
how do you know that, though? How do you know that?
But that's okay. It's Jared and Joe. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m., Jared Stillman and Joe Rexroad debate the big topics in sports. Jared versus Joe. Presented by Pella Windows and Doors and Parman Tractor and Equipment on Stillman and Company. Wednesdays at 5 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Willie Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The official brand perception report is in, and the Pella Windows and Doors brand is #1 for the most trusted, most often recommended by others, and highest quality. Nashville area homeowners are very lucky because Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is one of the top locations in the country. They provide award-winning excellence when it comes to craftsmanship and installation. If you need new doors or windows, I suggest you choose the experts at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Go to PellaofNashville.com.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. We have a team committed to helping you navigate the court system, whether you've been accused of a crime or you're going through a messy divorce and custody. Call our team to help you navigate this system. We are here to protect your rights, to demand your rights, to enforce your rights. 615-604-6263. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
AM radio provides always-on news, sports, talk, traffic, and weather reports. And it's also a vital service that provides important emergency information when your community needs it most. Tell Congress you need AM radio to stay in your car. Because when cell phones and the internet are down, this free emergency service is critical. And when you don't have electricity, radio in the car is often your only lifeline. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Do you have a VA loan? In this housing market, homeowners with VA loans have access to a ton of instant cash. Hey, Willie Donick here. Do you need cash to pay off credit cards and other high-interest loans? How does a check for 80 or 90 grand sound right now? Loan Pronto is helping veterans every day get the money they need with a quick and easy zero-cost cash-out refi with zero closing costs. With a VA loan, it's really cool because you can access up to 100% of your home's value. That's 100%. Use that money to pay off credit cards, home equity lines, car loan, consolidate all your payments into one check per month and close in 2 weeks. Most homeowners who do this end up cutting their overall monthly payments by $800. And Loan Pronto's all-digital process makes it fast and easy. They're doing loans with super low APRs, and they love working with veterans. Call now, see what your options are. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame and on Instagram at 1025thegame Nashville.
Hey!
Oh yeah, and like us on Facebook too. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You said that it went well, his meetings with the organization. If you're a Titans fan and you want DeAndre Hopkins, should you be more optimistic after this visit, or should you be more pessimistic because he didn't sign on the visit?
This is why I love coming on the show, Jared, because you ask me these questions that are so pointed. I would say Titans fans should feel really good because on one hand, you are attracting a player like Hopkins. He wouldn't come here if he didn't think it was valuable. You have a new GM in Rand Carthon who has significant relationships within the Cardinals building that clearly felt comfortable enough bringing Hopkins in and really understanding what he potentially be getting. And to rush into things and offer Hopkins the type of money that maybe he wouldn't get elsewhere would be a mistake. To me, it behooves Tennessee for this deal not to happen today, unless it was going to be for a really low number, because now you can go back, if you're Carthon, if you're Mike Vrabel, and really reevaluate exactly what it is you're getting. Because on these visits, a lot of times you don't want the player to leave because you feel like he's going to have 3 or 4 other offers, and it's really exciting that he's in the building today. In Hopkins' case, I think he is taking his time. And as a result, if you're Tennessee, it makes sense that you're taking your time. So I like the position they're in.
That was Jordan Schultz of The Score that was on our program yesterday. He broke the story that the Titans' meetings with DeAndre Hopkins went well. And he says that if you're a Titan fan, that he would feel good about DeAndre. And DeAndre is going to take his visit to New England, and there's kind of all these theories about what's going on and why is he taking the visits and who wants them, and is it a sign that he doesn't have a bunch of offers? Is it a sign that everybody, is going to make their best pitch, and then he's going to come back and decide? Now, Tom Pelissero reported that the Titans did not make an offer when DeAndre Hopkins was here on his visit, which is a little confounding one way or another. But I'm just going to say this. Every time that a marquee player comes available, there's always should the Titans go after this guy? And I almost think it's kind of like a local radio thing where whether it's Le'Veon Bell or Des Bryant or Antonio Brown again, or whomever it may be, Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, Jadeveon Clowney, you know what I'm talking about. There's always a, should the Titans go after this guy? And I think there's probably some of that overall with every individual market and every individual team, because it feels like every time a big name gets released, they talk about it on TV. Should the Cowboys be interested in so-and-so? But when you bring a guy on a visit, it kind of raises the stakes a little bit. So when they bring DeAndre Hopkins on a visit, it becomes more real. It becomes more than just the talk of, should they be interested in Antonio Brown? Should they be interested in LeGarrette Blount? Should they be interested in Leonard Fournette? Should they be, this guy's on the trade block? Should they be interested in Ezekiel Elliott? That kind of talk. Right now, Dalvin Cook. There's a lot of, should this team be into Dalvin Cook? Should that team be into Dalvin Cook? I don't know. But I say all of this because the Titans, regardless of, the money situation and, this is a lot of money and the cap, which, and deep down inside, it's not really real. The Titans need DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, we can talk all day about the idea of whether or not DeAndre Hopkins is still an elite receiver. I told you the stat in The Athletic that said that when Kyler Murray was his quarterback for 7 games last year, he was the most productive receiver in the NFL. If that's the case, then maybe DeAndre is still elite. What I do know is even if he's not elite anymore, he's still better than Chris Moore. He's still better than Nick Westbrook-Akina. He's still better than Racey McMath. He's still better than anything that you've got. So the Titans need him because they put themselves in this position when they decided to draft Will Levis. That's what this is about. I think the Titans went into that draft night on Thursday with the prayer and hope that they'd be able to trade up for C.J. Stroud. And then all the talk about rebuilding, we could probably go there. We could probably say they might actually be rebuilding. But then it didn't come to fruition because they told Diana Rossini everything and she reported it on TV, so Houston drafted him instead. Then they sat there with the 11th pick, and I think that they were open to taking a quarterback. I think they were open to trading back to where those receivers went off the board. But apparently they liked Peter Skoronski too much, so they took him. Then Levis was still there, and they were trying to get back in the first round to take him because they really liked him and they really wanted him. And so once they used that second pick, I think their plan to fix wide receiver had left the barn. It was over. It was done. It was out the door. And they got peppered that Friday night about how could you not go receiver? Well, we'd have had to come way off of our board if we had wanted to go receiver, and there's no way we could have been able to go receiver, and they're this and they're all those things. But I'm going to say this. As far as the receiver position and the Titans is concerned, they don't have a second receiver. And there's one guy out there. And unlike some of these other guys that we talked about after the draft, whether it was Donovan Peoples-Jones with the Cleveland Browns, or whether it's Tyler Boyd in Cincinnati, if he ends up hitting the block, whomever it may be, you have to trade picks to get that guy. If Mike Evans goes on the trade block, not only do you have to pay Mike Evans a Mike Evans salary, but you have to trade picks in order to be able to get Mike Evans. I'm not sure I want to do that. But I don't have to trade picks for DeAndre Hopkins. All it is money. And the Titans have money. The Titans told us they have money. Rand Carthon told us that before the draft. Mike Vrabel told us that after the draft. They don't have a second receiver. They have a below-average offensive line, but not as bad as last year. Dennis Daly is not going to be starting at left tackle for this team. They've got the best running back in the game, a solid quarterback, an emerging tight end, and a receiver that they have invested in by trading A.J. Brown for to be a number one. They've got a solid defense, and outside of kicker, They're a well-rounded team. I think they're, like Mark Dominic, former NFL general manager, said, I think they're one guy away. I think they're one DeAndre away from having a team that they can put on the field and say, all right, we're not going to be favored against Cincinnati. We're not going to be favored against Buffalo. We're not going to be favored against Kansas City. But we can beat those guys. And he's out there for the taking. And I just wonder if the Titans are just trying to nickel and dime this. Like, what's the difference between $8 million and $12 million if the guy is a legitimate player for you and better than what you have outside of Burks at receiver? And I just don't think that there's a big enough gap there. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. If you want to weigh in, Texter says, stop talking about Tannehill like you were his number one fan when you spent all last season disrespecting that man. We have not forgotten, and I bet Ryan wanted to smack you a few times if he ever listened in. First of all, I like Ryan Tannehill. I have no idea how Ryan Tannehill feels about me. I don't know if Ryan Tannehill listens to the show. I am a believer that bad news travels fast. And so my guess is people probably did. So Jared Stillman said, and so that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I ran into Ryan last year. He was on his way. I was on my way. We ran into each other. He was with his family. I was with my family. We talked for a little bit. I mean, I don't think there's any bad blood between me and Ryan Tannehill. Now, that being said, about me last year, my big thing was I didn't think you could win a Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. I still do not think you can win a Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. But my goal is not the Super Bowl this year. When you're the defending one seed in the AFC and Aaron Rodgers is interested in coming to your team, that's a different story. But that's not where the Titans are right now. The Titans have a solid team. And a solid team is probably good enough to win this division. And in the AFC, you never know. Buffalo, people forget Buffalo faded down the stretch last year, and Josh Allen did not play well. And they almost lost that playoff game at home against a third-string quarterback from Miami. And so all you got to do is get to the dance. Jacksonville was the worst team in the league entering last year, and now everybody's talking about them like they were a contender. So you're not that far away. What I don't believe is that Tannehill is worse than all these other guys that I never considered to be better than Tannehill. I never thought Baker Mayfield was better than Tannehill. I never thought Kyler Murray was better than Tannehill. So when you say, well, now you're Tannehill's biggest fan. No, I'm telling you, I think he's better than Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray. And that's really not all that difficult for me to get to. 615-737-1025. Trevor joins us next. What did Trevor think about when he saw DeAndre Hopkins took the visit here, and how does he feel that DeAndre left without an offer? We'll get Trevor's thoughts on it next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Stuck at work without a radio?
Wait a minute. Disastrous.
I hate that.
It's got to be there.
That's okay. Download the Game Nashville app or go to theGameNashville.com and listen live. We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Hey, Ray Jeter here with Harness. Are you looking to take ownership in a position that will support your growth and development? We are an excavation and site utilities contractor. Several things set us apart from our competition, but we take the most pride in the professional development of our people. We have multiple openings for operators, pipe layers, and laborers. Our pay and benefits are second to none, including our 401k program. Apply today at selectharness.com. Harness LLC. Build people, move dirt.
It's the symphonic rock experience everyone's talking about. The Nashville Symphony performs Windborne's The Music of Led Zeppelin, featuring conductor Brent Havens, vocalist Justin Sargent, and a full rock band. The hits of Led Zeppelin performed live as you've never heard them before. June 25th at Ascend Amphitheater. Tickets are on sale now at NashvilleSymphony.org. Full details at windbornemusic.com.
It's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest gifts for dads and grads. Featuring the Callaway Paradigm Drivers. The Callaway Paradigm Drivers feature a 360 carbon chassis for better distance and forgiveness. And from Bushnell, the new Tour V6 Series laser rangefinders provide you the most accurate distances in golf. And for the hard to shop for dad or grad, purchase a gift card for any amount. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, and shop us online at edwinwattsgolfshops.com.
Hey, it's Joe Rexford here, folks. Letting you know, baseball season in full swing. No better place to get in on MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's up to $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/Joe102 to join today. If you want a little advice from me on baseball betting, bet against the Detroit Tigers and bet the under in games the Tigers are participating in because they cannot score any runs. There's my snarky little bit of advice for you. Don't miss your chance to snag a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500 when you join FanDuel today. Again, FanDuel.com/Joe102 to sign up. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission. And, of course, you must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 deposit required. Refund issued as now-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
Meet Joe A, Joe B, and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
102.5 The Game and Green Trees Company Dispensary want to send you to see Bryan Adams at Bridgestone Arena. Saturday, June 17th, with very special guests Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Listen all week long to Robbie and Rex Road for your cue to call to win tickets to Bryan Adams and Joan Jett at Bridgestone Arena.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Your Nashville Sounds are back at First Horizon Park tonight to start a 6-game series against Gwinnett.
Swing and a miss, strike 3, Sounds win.
Pre-game at 6:20.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey, this is Ryan Johansson. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
If he was going to get what he wanted, he would have got it the day after he left. Because everyone knew this was probably going to happen. So working out deals. You ever notice how many free agent deals get signed on the first day of free agency? Because we knew they were free, and people were talking to the people they had to talk to, whether it was official or not. And this one didn't have that. He didn't have a deal waiting for him. So now he's out doing what he's got to do. He's got to sell himself, which I think he can. But there are people that worry about some things, and they're going to ask the kind of critical questions to get some level of comfort about everything. Practice habits, training, what's he doing? And then try to sell him on why our deal, even though it's not the money you want, is the best deal.
That was Pat Kerwin, longtime NFL coach, media guy, executive, talking about DeAndre, and he says he doesn't think the offers that DeAndre expected, he doesn't think they're out there. Now, DeAndre wrapped up a visit with the Titans. Tom Pelissero, NFL Network, reports that the Titans didn't make an offer. Jordan Schultz came on our show yesterday. He reported that the visit went well between the Titans and Hopkins. He heads to New England. He may take more visits. He may take his time. Who knows? Trevor Maddich joins us on the program, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. Trev, let's get right into the tea leaves on this. What do you make of the fact that the Titans did host DeAndre Hopkins for a visit, but did not make an offer to Hopkins? And how optimistic are you that the Titans are real players for his services?
I think that they are real players for his services, in part because he's leaving without an offer. The Titans are being disciplined here, and I think that's a great thing. They need help in the receiver room, but they're not breaking the bank to bring in the premier free agent that's out there right now, DeAndre Hopkins. They let him go without an offer, reportedly. Normally, if you really want a guy, you don't let him out of your building. You do what it takes to sign him. And if that guy wants to be there, he will let you. do what it takes to sign him. Well, he's gone. He's out of there. And he's going on to the Patriots, and I don't see the Patriots, offering any more money than Tennessee might. And so I think there's a very good chance that Hopkins' agents will talk some sense into him, and the Titans will have a good chance to kind of lowball an offer with a lot of incentives and get him in here anyway.
Trevor, don't you think the Titans have to kind of overspend for DeAndre Hopkins? I was talking about this yesterday. I think the value for Hopkins is about 10.875 million. So roughly around 11, 10.9. I think that is what the value of what he provided Arizona with last season. I think that's what he's worth. And the reason I say that is because if that's his value, then maybe a team like Kansas City or Buffalo could say, well, $7 million with some incentives, but you're going to have a chance to play with Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, compete for a Super Bowl. The Titans don't necessarily have that. So it's a tax of, you're the Titans, you don't have an elite quarterback, people do not consider you Super Bowl contenders, and you don't play in a big market. I mean, I know the idea that they could lowball an offer here, but don't you think something like $12 million would get it done, and that they've got the money and he's that good? So why not just do it and make sure that you get the player, Trevor?
If you think he's a guy that's going to help you get to the Super Bowl in the next 2 years or 3, or if you think he's the future anyway and you can help to build around him, because he's now in his 30s and because he had hamstring and knee injuries 2 years ago and then missed the first 6 weeks of last year with a suspension because of a performance-enhancing drug suspension, I don't know that they think he's the future. And so, you look at his value to the Cardinals last year, and it was valuable. I mean, he missed more than half the season in 21 due to those injuries. Last year when he came back, his first game back from that suspension for the Cardinals, he caught 10 passes for over 100 yards. And they scored 42 points to beat the Saints, who scored like 34. And so he was critical to them. And I think the fact that Hopkins has missed so many games over the last 2 years actually makes him more valuable to the Titans, because only one of those years was because of injury, and he had a chance to rest up those legs, especially last year during the suspension. So I think that's good. But from a standpoint of what they'll need to do in order to sign him, I think if they wanted to pay him $10 million and throw in a bunch of incentives, I think they would have made that offer. And if it's true that they didn't make an offer, then I think they don't think anybody else is going to pay him either. And I don't know if the Titans have been, have some tea leaves of their own that they've been reading about other teams that might be in the market for him. But we do know that Kansas City made a lowball offer around $3 million to come play for the Chiefs and possibly win a Super Bowl. And Hopkins said no. And so, he's looking for money. Well, there might not be the money there. And if it comes to that point where the Patriots let him leave the building without an offer as well, then he's going to have to look heavily into maybe a one-year deal that's heavily loaded with incentives as a prove-it deal. And either way, that would improve the Titans' ability to get him into the building for 2023.
Trevor Maddox is with us, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. Trev, if you were in his shoes, put your player hat on here, what would your plan be right now if you weren't getting the offers you wanted? Would you drag this out until training camp to see if there's a team that has an injury and then try to take advantage of that?
No, because then if that doesn't happen, you're going to end up showing up on a team that you may not want to be to because they had an injury. Keep in mind that he's familiar with the Patriots offense. He's familiar with the Titans offense. He might end up someplace where he's got to learn something new heading into the regular season. And I don't know that he really wants to do that because he still considers himself, by all accounts, as being a premier receiver in the league. And if I were him, if I didn't get the offer that I wanted, I would get really mad at the entire NFL. I would tell myself that the entire NFL is a bunch of morons and that they are making mountains out of molehills when it comes to the injury and the suspension. I would think that's not me. That suspension was just based on just a tiny fraction of a performance-enhancing drug that was a tiny fraction over the minimum or the maximum, I'm sorry. And I would use that as an incentive to sign a 1-year deal with the team that I thought I could do the best at this year and then go back into the free agent market with basically a clean slate. Now, who would that team be and under what circumstances? You can make a case that that might be the Titans just because he would be targeted a ton at the Titans. At the same time, you can make a case that that would be a team like the Chiefs. Go there, take the small amount of money, maybe build some incentives into it, and help the Chiefs win another Super Bowl. Now you have an Andy Reid pedigree, an Andy Reid stamp on your resume, and now you can go to a team and say, look, I'm still that guy. And so that's what I would do if I were him. I would be looking at a 1-year prove-it deal, and I would be targeting 2024 for the money.
Do you think that he could do that this late with an Andy Reid type situation where he's never run that offense? You know, with the Titans and the Patriots, he's run those offenses before. He has never run an Andy Reid style offense. He has never run, you know, what Ken Dorsey's doing in Buffalo. And I do wonder for a receiver how hard that would be now that the offseason program is basically behind us.
Yeah, I would answer that question with this. It's not just a matter of him knowing the offense. It is there any better coach in the NFL than Andy Reid at maximizing the capabilities of any given player? And that's where I think he would need to hang his hat. He wouldn't need to learn that whole playbook to begin with because they just won the Super Bowl. They don't need him to get back to the Super Bowl. It would just make it more likely that they will get back to the Super Bowl, and that gives the Chiefs the luxury in this scenario of easing him into the playbook so that he can get comfortable and do some things well as he then gathers more and more knowledge of what he's supposed to do as the season goes on. So that is a thing, but I think with Mahomes at quarterback and Reid at coach, I don't think it would be as big a thing as it would be in other places.
Well, I feel like that's the opposite of the tax that I think the Titans have to pay. I truly believe the Titans have to pay a tax, that they're not Dallas, they're not in New York, they're not in LA, they're not something like that, and they don't have Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes or Andy Reid or something like that, that they'd have to pay a little bit more in order to procure Hopkins services. And I'm okay with that, Trev, but I do think that the Titans need to understand, you know, you're not going to go in there on a blind bid and try to lowball him with $3 or $4 million with a bunch of incentives, because Kansas City and Buffalo probably would be willing to do that. They're going to have to overpay if they want him, and I'm okay with that. Is that crazy?
That's not crazy. I don't know that I'd pay him $10 million. I do think that that though the advantage for coming here is that he would get that ton of targets. I mean, they put him in the slot most of the time. That's where he would probably, you know, be the most effective. And you've got Nick Westbrook-Akine that he'd be competing with for targets. He had 50 targets last year, Westbrook-Akine, 25 receptions, and that's not too far off of what he normally does. He doesn't have a very good target-to-reception ratio. And then you've got, you know, Chigakonkwo's a young guy. You've got, you know, Phillips inside. You know, you got guys that the Tannehill is not going to be able to count on. And keep this in mind about Tannehill. There's a human element to what he's going to do as a quarterback this year. I'm sure he'd love to come back next year. I'm sure he'd love to play so well this year that someone else is going to sign him to a big contract, you know, in 24. And if he had a receiver that came in that he knew he could absolutely trust, and they developed that trust quickly, then that's going to be a ton of catches. And that would lead to either fulfilling a whole bunch of incentives or possibly on a prove-it contract, you know, the next year being able to get more money. And the truth of it is, I think the Titans are going to be a whole lot better this year than people think from a standpoint of success. I don't think they're a threat to win the Super Bowl, but I think the Titans are going to win the division this year and get to the playoffs. And I think all that would help everybody on this team that's looking to stay or looking to sign a more lucrative contract elsewhere.
Trevor Maddich is with us, as always, here on the program, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. Coming up next, of all the places mentioned, does Trevor think the Titans are the best fit for D-Hop? We'll get into that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
when it comes to Nashville sports.
Locking up Jeffrey Simmons, clearly that was a priority for them.
He knows his stuff.
A little bit good, a little bit bad.
And knows how to push the right buttons.
He's coming off an ACL tear, and he's 25 years old, so you cannot ignore that.
Join Outkick's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company. Withrow.
What I hate more than anything is people that are phony and not true to themselves.
Is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics wants to thank their patients for voting them the #1 orthopedic practice in the Nashville Scene Poll for 3 years in a row. Their physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, and other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they adhere to all CDC guidelines for the patient's and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all physicians, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
Genesis Diamonds has the lowest interest rates on the planet because we never stop thinking about our customers. Right now, you can get 0 interest financing on any purchase. Beautiful tennis bracelets or 5-stone rings starting at only $35 a month. Those 4-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings just $115 a month. Get Genesis low price, pay nothing down, and spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. Rings, pendants, bands, one-of-a-kind designer jewelry, pre-owned Rolex watches. Now through July 1st only. Only at Genesis Diamonds. Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit, see store for details.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture eats strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want, but unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Buffalo Bill's Center of the West in Cody, Wyoming welcomes you as you enter Yellowstone Park's east entrance. 5 museums in one, including a wonderful Plains Indian Museum. Welcome to the West. Buffalo Bill's Center of the West, Cody, Wyoming.
So happy it hurts. Bryan Adams. See him live in concert in Nashville. The So Happy It Hurts Tour with special guest Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. This Saturday at Bridgestone Arena. Get tickets now at livenation.com. For more, check bryanadams.com.
The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is back in Nashville August 4th through 6th and is a must-see experience that has something for everyone to enjoy. 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan has all your coverage leading to the race, including driver interviews with Chase McCabe, ticket giveaways, and much more.
One is a legendary NFL wide receiver.
I gotta be prepared. I have to be ready.
One is a legendary Nashville voice.
You don't have to rely on carrying the ball 250 to 300 times.
And the other has been a legendary trash talker on the playground since the 4th grade.
Nobody is a Pro Bowler on day 1 of rookie minicamp.
They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tennessee is an obvious place because they don't have a receiver of his talent, and depending on what their cap situation is, probably can accommodate a reasonably good salary for him. And in New England's case, they don't have any cap issues either that I know of. So they could probably accommodate him as well. He's going to want starter money. I don't think he's going to get very much in the way of guarantees from anybody. That would be surprising to me if it happened. For all the reasons we stated in the last couple of segments, guarantees carry with them a penalty if it doesn't work out. And this is a player that, despite his talent, has some concerns surrounding him. Otherwise, Arizona would not have released him.
There you go, Bill Polian on Sirius XM NFL Radio. I love my general managers. And he says, he's not going to get all that kind of money, but Tennessee and New England have it. Trevor Maddich is with us, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. Trevor, all things considered, the Titans have money. The Titans have a gaping spot on the roster. They've got a veteran quarterback. They've got arguably the most consistent running back in the NFL. They've got a good coach. They play in a weak division. Are they the best fit for DeAndre Hopkins, or is there another team out there that is a better fit for Hopkins and would be willing to pay more than the Titans, or in at least the ballpark with the Titans, in order to acquire his services?
With those parameters, I'd say the Titans probably are the best ones because they would be able to pay him more, especially, next year they should have some salary cap open up and, depending on some moves that are anticipated. And so they could structure that contract to get him money, even guaranteed money, over the course of the contract. So there's a possibility there when you just look at the money. When you look at the other things you talked about the players, the Titans are still going to be a run-first team. But everybody's going to come up and try to stop Derrick Henry, aren't they, on defense? And so that's going to open up a lot of opportunities for the pass catchers. And it's not just the wide receivers that are pass catchers. I mean, the running back room is now getting better at developing multiple pass catchers. The tight end room with Chigakonkwo, and then last year when they drafted the kid out of Cincinnati, Josh Wiley. I mean, there's some threats out there that defenses are going to have to deal with while they put an extra guy up in the box to stop Derrick Henry, assuming that, everything goes well in the running game and the offensive line takes a step forward. All those things mean that for Hopkins, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for him. And probably he's not going to have to worry quite so much about getting double teamed. So that's good. We talked about the Tannehill factor, that Tannehill wants to have a monumental year, because I think he gets it that this might be his last year here, or he wants to just overwhelm the coaching staff and his teammates that they want to keep him around, and he's got a veteran receiver finally to be able to throw to that he can trust. So that means a lot more balls going Hopkins' way. And so all those things, plus you got a really good defense there. So I think when you add all those things together, I think the Titans, if I'm DeAndre Hopkins, are attractive if he doesn't want to take a low ball offer and go to a team that's a Super Bowl contender now. Now you compare that to the Patriots. The Patriots wide receiver room has more options, just the wide receiver room now, than the Titans do, at least more guys that you'd figure you'd be able to count on. So he'd be one of more guys there. The quarterback situation is a mess. I mean, Mac Jones, the first-round draft choice, was supposed to be the starter, but he might not even start. Bailey Zappi out of Western Kentucky, he may end up being the guy that ends up being the starting quarterback for the Patriots. So you've got young guys trying to jockey for a position, and they're not in a really good place. Then you've got the ability to get to the postseason. That's more money. It's more prestige. It's more, it's more juice for your brand and your social media. And according to published reports, I keep on seeing quotes and mentions of DeAndre Hopkins' brand manager. So that apparently is important to him. Now, when you look at the division that the Patriots play in, good luck being any higher than the fourth team in that division, maybe the third, right? I mean, the Jets have a really good chance to push to the Super Bowl this year, and that's 2 guaranteed wins for the Patriots most of the time. Well, like I said before, I think this team, the Titans, will win the AFC South. Part of the reason is that the Jaguars have to play a first place schedule. They play the Chiefs, for example, and the Titans don't have to play the Chiefs this year. If the Titans can split with the Jaguars, and if they stay relatively healthy and a bunch of ifs need to kind of come together, but they're not implausible ifs, then I think the Titans could win the division, get to the playoffs, and then you never know what might happen. If I'm DeAndre Hopkins, do I really want to go and play under the abject misery of Bill Belichick when I could play for the Titans and probably get everything I wanted and maybe more without having to deal with Bill Belichick?
Trevor, Ryan in Nashville texts in and says, according to Jim Wyatt, that Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon took Hopkins to dinner during his visit, and Ryan Tannehill and his wife met up with Hopkins, and his wife showed them the city. How much does that college-like recruiting stuff matter? They had DeAndre Hopkins posted a story at CMA Fest the other night. I'm like, man, this is the NFL. Show me the money. The other stuff, this is not, look at our weight room. But as a former player, how much does stuff like that really matter to you?
Yeah, recruiting, whether it's the NFL or whether it's college, is sales, and sales is largely emotion. In college, that emotion has to do with the rah-rah and the family and the facilities. In the NFL, that has to do with one thing, and that's a number they write on a piece of paper and slide across the table. But if that number is similar, then if you feel a lot better in one place than you do in the other, if you have a better connection with the guys on the roster in one place than you do at the other, and the place where you don't feel that connection as well doesn't overcome that with money, the money is similar, then it does matter. Because remember that players want to feel respected. Players want to feel like they're wanted. And, you look at the Titans doing all these things for Hopkins, getting him out to a concert and, Tannehill and his wife and all those different things. All that says is, hey, we really want you here. And then Bill Belichick, he in a little presser, what did he say? Hey, DeAndre Hopkins is coming out. Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah? So what's going to happen there? Is he going to go over there and he's going to meet the equipment manager and say, yeah, these are what the socks look like. Bill might be down. He might not be. I don't know. By the way, here's your offer. It matters to feel like you're wanted. And so it doesn't overcome the paycheck. The guys are going to take the check. But if the check is similar, then give me the check and the luxury box at the concert. I'll take that.
Trevor Maddich, last one for you. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Trev. So Will Levis has not performed well so far, according to the reports at the OTAs and at the mandatory minicamp. Tannehill has played significantly better. Levis battling it out with Malik Willis. Ultimately, Levis will probably be the backup, but Tannehill's a starting quarterback. Knowing what we know about the health of the team, moves they've made, coordinator position, maybe they get DeAndre Hopkins. Who do you think is the starting quarterback of the Tennessee Titans in 2024? If you had to handicap it today, who would you say is the likely starter, not this upcoming season where we all pretty much know it's going to be Tannehill, but the season after that?
Ryan Tannehill. I don't think that Willis, let's put it this way, I haven't seen enough from Willis to give me confidence that he'd be able to step into that role with a team that's good enough to make the playoffs. Because, you want a quarterback that can then help to boost you once you get there. I don't think Willis is ready for that yet. Levis hasn't shown that either. And so there's nothing I can really hang my hat on with either of those two guys. Therefore, I think in 2024, the quarterback of the Titans is most likely, as we look at it right now, to either be not on the roster today at all, or they'll figure out a way to keep Ryan Tannehill here. And the thing is, it'd probably be best for this Titans team overall if they were able to find a way to keep Tannehill here and continue to develop one or two of those young quarterbacks for an extra year, because what you don't want to be doing is wasting years of guys like Jeffrey Simmons and Danico Autry and, guys that are in their prime. You don't want to waste them while you're having a young quarterback take his lumps. If you can have a veteran quarterback maximize what your current stars can do.
Trevor Maddich, as always, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics. Great football insight. Trevor, appreciate your time, as always.
Thanks, Jared.
Yep, Trevor Maddich joining us on the program. Speaking of Tannehill, I have defended Tannehill, and I heard Joe's Rex rant last week when he went crazy about all the people that don't think Tannehill is going to start this year and that Levis could start and so on and so forth. Dan Orlovsky has the reason why he doesn't think DeAndre Hopkins is coming to Nashville. I dissected, and I wonder if this is really something that is a possibility. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. FanDuel Sportsbook is my official sportsbook app. Hit a home run with $5 Dinger Tuesdays on FanDuel. Each Tuesday, all customers will get a $5 in bonus bets for every home run hit by both teams when you place a $25 to hit a home run wager on MLB games. And the best part about Dinger Tuesday is even if your bet loses, FanDuel will pay you $5 for every home run. Let me tell you, Ronald Acuna Jr. is on fire. I think he's the best player in the league right now. He's on my team, and we lost yesterday and blew it. I'd put my money down on that. There's no better place to bet America's pastime than on America's #1 sportsbook and my official sportsbook. Head on over to your FanDuel account or download the FanDuel Sportsbook app by going to FanDuel.com/JGM and pick your home run hitter. That's FanDuel.com/JGM. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max bonus $25. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
The NHL Awards and NHL Draft are coming soon to the Music City. Join us live June 26th through 29th at Bridgestone Arena as we'll have you covered from the red carpet and the draft floor as the stars of tomorrow join the quest for Lord Stanley's Cup. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Gear up for spring at Coleman Tractor Company with Kubota zero turns and subcompact tractors in stock now and ready to work. Mow, dig, haul, and lift with the Kubota BX23S tractor loader backhoe. Now through June 30th, save up to $2,500 on BX23S models. Visit Coleman Tractor in Paris, Clarksville, Nashville, and White House today. Now through June 30th. See KubotaUSA.com for more information.
The Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce's 5th annual Nashpreneurs Conference on Wednesday morning, June 28th, will join local small business leaders, creatives, and entrepreneurs for an interactive event focused on access to capital, including angel investors, banking relationships, fund management, and more. The Chamber will welcome keynote speaker Mignon Francois, newly published author and founder of the Cupcake Collection. Time is running out to save your seat. Visit NashvilleChamber.com/events to register today.
Now's the time to get a great deal on proven Kubota farming equipment. Tractors that are adaptable and versatile. Hay tools that are backed by a 2-year warranty. And durable sidekick utility vehicles and SVL track loaders. The Kubota agriculture lineup is built right, built ready. Get Kubota hay tools for 0 down, 0 APR for up to 48 months, plus up to $2,500 loyalty cash reward. Now through June 30th. Visit KubotaUSA.com for full details. Krebs Kubota, Middle Tennessee's preferred equipment dealer. Convenient locations in Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. Visit us online at KrebsKubota.com.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No, we tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured, so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly, different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Now, your Game Center update.
Brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Free agent wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins reportedly left his visit with the Titans without a contract offer. Hopkins is next set to visit with the New England Patriots. Rap Sheet on the NFL Network with the latest.
He's got a choice of a lot of teams. Interesting that he chose the Titans and Patriots, which says to me that at least he believes those guys are going to be in the ballpark of what might get it done to sign him.
The Denver Nuggets were crowned NBA champions last night for the first time in franchise history as they took down the Miami Heat in 5 games. The Vegas Golden Knights will be looking to do the same on the ice tonight in Game 5 of the Cup Final versus Florida. Hear all the action beginning at 6:30 right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. The Nashville Sounds return to First Horizon Park this week to host the Gwinnett Stripers. Catch coverage tonight at 6:20 on your home of the Sounds, 94.9 The Fan. This update brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. From the Game Nashville studios, this is Ian Safar.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt.
I think he's got a coach up by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff.
You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live, thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. DeAndre Watch 2023 continues. We are on day, what is this, like day 16, day 17, day whatever it may be, but day 1 post-visit. And we will continue. He is visiting, I believe, Thursday, according to Ian Rappaport, of NFL Network with the Patriots. So DeAndre Watch will continue. And everybody has an opinion about what DeAndre wants. And we talked yesterday about we don't know. Like, we don't know. Does DeAndre want the money? Does DeAndre want to play for a Super Bowl? Does DeAndre care about the coach? Does DeAndre like Bill O'Brien? I don't know. Vrabel, does he like DeAndre? I don't know. But one thing that I did hear, and I think is probably something that people believe, but I don't agree with, is exactly why Dan Orlovsky wants to rule out the Titans as a suitor for DeAndre Hopkins. Here's what he said yesterday on the Pat McAfee Show.
Now, I think the thing for Hop is, does Hop want to go to another place that has not elite level quarterback play? Tannehill's a good quarterback. They obviously have Will Levis as likelihood to be their future. You know, and D-Hop's had a lot of years now that he hasn't had the benefit of playing with one of those elite quarterbacks outside of that time that he had with Deshaun Watson. When he had Deshaun Watson, he was in that conversation to be, is DeAndre Hopkins the best wide receiver in the NFL? So, you know, even at the age of 31, he's got to be sitting there going, is Tennessee the ideal place for him? I don't think it is. I understand why Tennessee's very interested, but I don't see D-Hop choosing Tennessee over some of the other options.
Basically, what Dan Orlovsky is telling you is that he doesn't think DeAndre Hopkins would want to play for the Titans because Ryan Tannehill's not that good. That's what he's saying. And I think there's a lot of people out there that believe that. I mean, I talked about how I loved it on Wednesday or Thursday or whatever day it was last week when the news broke that DeAndre was coming to Nashville for a visit. And it was like the national media melted down about, what about the Chiefs and the Bills? What about those teams? But I don't think Tannehill is some bum. I mean, he brought up, you know, the only time he ever played with an elite quarterback was Deshaun Watson in Houston. You do realize that Tannehill has been better than Deshaun Watson. Granted, Deshaun didn't play, and then he played for 6 games last year, but availability is the number one ability. And when Deshaun Watson, quote unquote, was elite, when he was elite, Tannehill was right there with him. Like, there was a discussion about whether or not Tannehill or Watson was going to make that 2020 Pro Bowl team. And it ended up being Watson, but it was by an eyelash. Because Mahomes was going to make it, Allen was going to make it, and the question was who was going to be number 3. And it was between Watson and Tannehill. And then I thought to myself, okay, you know, DeAndre Hopkins, he don't want to go to Tennessee because they don't have an elite quarterback. All right. How many teams out there would make sense for Hopkins and have a better quarterback? Like Cincinnati, for instance, has a better quarterback than Tennessee, but they've got 3 receivers and they drafted 2 more this year. They're not going to sign DeAndre Hopkins. Not when they've got to pay T. Higgins bajillion dollars and Joe Burrow even more than that. So here's what I came up with, and you stop me in the does not make sense category.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Cincinnati, Baltimore, Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham, Nelson Aguilar, added with Rashad Bateman and Devin Duvernay and all those guys. I
think the Beckham thing takes them out. Yeah.
I do too. I don't think they're going to go for both. And Flowers.
Yeah, first round pick. Yep.
Pittsburgh. They've got George Pickens. They acquired Allen Robinson. They kind of do their own thing at receiver in Pittsburgh. The Jets, Miami, Jacksonville, Houston, Indy, Denver, Vegas, the Chargers, the Giants, Washington, Philly, Minnesota. Remember, they drafted Jordan Addison in the first round. Chicago, New Orleans, Tampa Bay, the Rams, Seattle, Jackson Smith and Jigba in the first round, Arizona, where he came from, San Francisco, and Green Bay.
The Giants is the only one that kind of sticks out, maybe.
But didn't they re-signed Darius Slayton?
Slayton, yeah. I just think their wide receiver class is their overall is not that great. They had Galladay, they got rid of him, right? Maybe I'm missing somebody that they signed, but that's the only team that kind of sticks out of that list. Otherwise, I like it.
Okay, so let's add the Giants then to a team that makes sense. So that would give us 22 teams, which means that we've got 10 teams left now. The Titans, New England. I put Buffalo and Kansas City on there, but it doesn't sound like Buffalo or Kansas City is interested in paying the piper when it comes to DeAndre Hopkins, but they're still there. Tennessee, New England, Buffalo, Kansas City, Detroit, Dallas, Atlanta, Carolina, and Cleveland. And I struggle with Cleveland because they've already spent so much money on their team. They have the highest payroll in the league. They've got Amari Cooper. They've got Donovan Peoples-Jones. They've got, who's their number 2 receiver there?
They just traded for the kid from Elijah Moore, right? From the Jets.
Elijah Moore, right. They drafted Cedric Tillman. I mean, they got bodies at receiver. But I'm not going to rule them out, again, because of the relationship with Watson. So that's 10 teams and include the Giants. How many of those 10 teams have good quarterbacks? New England? No. Buffalo, Kansas City, yes. Dallas, I think most people would think that Dak is better than Tannehill. Atlanta, Carolina, Cleveland, or Atlanta, Carolina, no. Cleveland, total wild card. And obviously Buffalo and Kansas City have better quarterbacks. And so I think, Detroit and the Giants, I think those are probably equal to Tannehill. I mean, I would take Goff over Tannehill, but I would take Tannehill over Daniel Jones. So, I mean, I understand the idea that Dan Orlovsky said, well, he should play with an elite quarterback. Well, there's only 2 out there that would make any sense, and it's Mahomes and Allen, and both those teams try to work out a contract with him, and in both cases, he wasn't interested in the amount of money that those teams were offering him, so it's almost like take him off the board. Okay, well, now who's better than Tannehill? Mac Jones? Jared Goff? Desmond Ridder? Washed up Deshaun, maybe, if they're interested? So I get what Dan Orlovsky's saying, and a lot of people think Tannehill sucks. There's just a lot of people out there that think that Tannehill really sucks and that Levis should be the quarterback and DeAndre should want no part of that. But I don't think Tannehill's that bad. I think Tannehill's right there with all these other guys that aren't named Mahomes or Allen. And those are the only 2 teams that have an elite quarterback that would be interested in his services, because the Jets aren't going to be interested and Cincinnati is not going to be interested. And so now it's Dallas, and they're traditionally too cheap. Dallas, maybe. Detroit, maybe. And those guys aren't head and shoulders better than Tannehill. Not my opinion. And I am a Goff fan and have been a Goff fan when most of you wanted to crap on him before he got good again. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Ian, let's just do this for fun. Let's just go through it. These quarterbacks. And we'll do that. 615-737-1025. And again, this idea that the Titans don't have anything to offer DeAndre Hopkins, I think is crazy. We'll touch on that too. Stillman and Company, 1025, 1063 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Father's Day is here. Save big on last-minute gifts for Dad at Electronic Express. Don't miss a TCL 55-inch 4K TV for just $269 or an LG laundry pair for only $549 each. Get gifts for Dad with huge savings in every department. Computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture and mattresses, and more. Get a SkyTech gaming computer for $899 or a Traeger Pro Series grill for only $499. Get up to 3 years free financing throughout the entire store. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Many jobs, sports, recreational activities, getting older, or having arthritis in your knees increases your chances of having knee problems. Whether you're an active senior or a high school athlete with knee problems or injuries, the world-class doctors at Houston Clinic Orthopedics can treat your knee pain or injuries. Houston Clinic Orthopedics is conveniently located where you work and live. Visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online. When experience matters, trust Houston Clinic Orthopedics.
Music City will be rocking June 23rd through the 25th with a different sound, the sound of NASCAR.
Start your engine!
The Ally 400 is back at Nashville Superspeedway, and this year, it's a night race. NASCAR in Nashville. It's guitars and fast cars under the lights. Visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com to get your tickets for the triple header weekend, including the Ally 400, Tennessee Lottery 250, and the Rackley Roofing 200 today.
Warmer months have you working overtime? Be sure to visit Parman Tractor and Equipment for all your New Holland tractor and bush hog needs. Swing by the store at 3570 Dickerson Pike in North Nashville or give their sales team a call. They're now offering 0% financing for 72 months on select New Holland tractors. Get the brands you trust from a local dealer like Parman, always ensuring totally outrageous customer service. Visit ParmanTractor.com for the best deals on equipment. New Holland Tractor, Bush Hog, and more.
Does this sound familiar? Did your agent provide excellent entertainment with their TikTok videos and constant social media posts about themselves while completely ignoring that you hired them to sell your home? Did they tell you how wonderful they were? How many followers they had? They probably never sold your home, but hey, they did get 15 likes on their selfies. Hashtag my clients love me. Don't let that happen to you. Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why the only likes we care about are our clients loving our service. Ask us about our prepay with TJ option and how it can save you thousands. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Office number 615-432-2919.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Want to weigh in on the conversation? It's a brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Dan, let's say you were D-Hop right now in that situation. Where are you going? Where's the best fit?
If I was D-Hop and I could choose to where I would go, and I think realistic teams that potentially in the conversation, Number one, New England. Yes. As long as he thinks Mac Jones is a good player. New England has nobody on the perimeter that's really going to scare you.
What do you think about Mac Jones?
I think that it's a huge. He's a huge year for Mac. I think Bill O'Brien's got a great feel for what Hop excels at. He doesn't have to get him open. He just has to get him one-on-ones. Let's live in the world where he doesn't want to go play in New England. He wants to go play with an elite level quarterback. I would say like the two would be Baltimore and Philadelphia.
I mean, what is he talking about? Does Philadelphia want DeAndre Hopkins? Like, did I miss something? Where would he fit in on that team? What am I missing? Dan Orlovsky on the Pat McAfee show yesterday. So forget about Philadelphia. He's not going to Philadelphia. He's not going to Baltimore. He's not going to these places that have 10 receivers. So let's go over this right here, because I don't get this idea that the Patriots would be a better fit for DeAndre Hopkins than the Titans, especially when it comes to quarterback play. So this is where I really miss Caroline here, because when we had three people, it was very easy to break ties. Ryan Tannehill or Mac Jones? You're DeAndre Hopkins. Who would you rather play with? Ryan Tannehill or Mac Jones? Ian, you go first.
I'll go Tannehill.
I would take Tannehill too. Ryan Tannehill or Jared Goff in Detroit?
That is a tough one. Are we going strictly quarterback, or are we taking team and offense into account here?
You're DeAndre, whatever you want to do.
Okay, well, I don't know. I might lean Detroit just for the chance of the division. Easier to win.
Is it easier to win that division where they've got Minnesota and, who knows about if Jordan Love's any good than it is this division where two of the four are going to stink?
That's true.
And Jacksonville,
I guess I was thinking
Jacksonville.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking more just the Jacksonville is the favorite, I don't know. I think I'd still lean slightly Detroit if I were Hopkins.
I would take Goff too. Now, when we talk about living in the city, that is something where that may come up. Where it's like, I'd rather live in Nashville.
Like, you got to play in the outside.
Absolutely.
In the conditions.
I actually read a story, and I've lived up there. I spent a year up there when I was 23 years old. And so I had lived in the South my whole life, and I moved up there for a winter, and it was brutal. And I read a story that Patriot rookies get depressed when they go up to Foxborough because there's nothing to do. It's dark outside at 2:00 in the afternoon. Belichick works you to death, and it's just depressing. And so for those rookies, they kind of have to bond together because, there's just, it's so tough emotionally on these guys.
And Hopkins as a cold weather player. He's been in Houston and then Arizona. Played at Clemson. I'm not sure he's
I don't see that.
all about, playing in the tundra.
So I would take Jared Goff too, but it's close. And then not only that, organizationally, I would take the Titans. Dallas and Dak Prescott or Tannehill in Tennessee?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Dallas and Dak or Tannehill and Tennessee?
I would go Dallas and Dak.
I would too. I'm not a huge Dak fan, though. Desmond Ridder or Tannehill?
Okay, one more time. I'm sorry.
Desmond Ridder or Tannehill?
Tannehill.
Agreed. Bryce Young or Tannehill?
Tannehill.
Deshaun Watson or Tannehill?
If I'm Hopkins, I got to go Watson.
I think Tannehill's a better quarterback.
You think so?
I think that Watson, maybe last year was the rust and he shook it off and he's fine, but he freaking stunk last year.
It was rough last year. It was rough last year, but
he didn't play for that year, and he's been through all that crap, and maybe I just can't stand the guy. I don't know. No, I
feel like he's got a pretty good rapport with Deshaun Watson at this point. And even if, it's I feel like there's some type of friendship there or glory days thing that would probably put him over the top.
Texter into the text line says, I haven't heard anyone mention the tax difference from New England to Nashville. If it's about the money for DeAndre and both teams make a similar offer. I mean, I certainly think that's part of the equation, but I mean, DeAndre has a lot of money. I think that more so than anything, which coach would you rather play for? I think I'd rather play for Vrabel. Which quarterback would you rather catch the ball from? I think it'd rather be Tannehill. Which receiver room is there more of an obvious spot for you? I would think it would be here than it would be New England, where they just paid Juju Smith-Schuster and they drafted Tyquan Thornton last year, number 2, in the draft in the second round, and they're still paying Kendrick Bourne and they're still paying Devontae Parker. And here it is Treylon Burks and nobody. So I haven't even gotten to the whole tax thing. We save that talk for NHL free agency when it's like, $6 million here versus $5 million there. But we're talking about Toronto as compared to Dallas. And that is a massive difference. I'm not sure it's that big of a deal here when it comes to Hopkins. Texter says, you guys don't think Bryce Young is somebody that he would be into. Now, he said on the I Am Athlete podcast that he's kind of done with the whole rookie quarterback thing. I mean, I don't think that he would rule out a rookie quarterback, but I don't think that growing up with Bryce Young is something he'd be interested in right now.
How much do you think it'll take for Hopkins to adjust to like a new system and all that kind of stuff at this point in the offseason? Because you're going to be coming in at this point pretty much only in training camp. I don't know how much of the playbook he's going to know. Being familiar with Bill O'Brien and the Patriots and the Titans and Tim Kelly and Vrabel, he's already got a half of a leg up as far as knowing what's going on. So I wonder if that puts a damper in any of these opportunities.
So I would think that, but I asked Trevor that question when we talked about Kansas City. And Trevor was like, nah, he'd be fine learning from Andy Reid. Not that, some of these other places don't have Andy Reid coaching, but Trevor did not seem to think that that was that big of a deal. So I'm going to have to side with Trevor on that. Texter says, once again, showing how big of a moron you are if you actually think Deshaun Watson is washed up. Sorry for requiring Deshaun Watson to play well for the first time since, there were no fans in the stands for COVID, which was 3 years ago. Sorry that I'd like to at least see him play well once before sitting here and declaring Deshaun Watson is the man. Is that too much to ask for? Just one time. Can we just see a little something out of him before we sit there and give him a parade? Because all the headlines for Deshaun Watson have been bad for 2 years.
And I guess his numbers were good in Houston at that end there, but they didn't win a lot of games, even though he put up some numbers. So
they were horrible that last year. And Tim Kelly was there, and they put up a bunch of stats. But I think, again, when it comes to those passing stats, because it's like, well, that last year they had a great passing offense, Tim Kelly, when he was the coordinator with Watson, and it's like, yeah, but they suck so bad that they were always losing, so they were always throwing. So I kind of take that with a huge grain of salt. Texter says Detroit, with the amount of suspensions in their wide receiver room, would be interesting. How many wide receivers got suspended in Detroit? All I know about is Jamison Williams, but I did think that Detroit was Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver 1, Jamison Williams, wide receiver 2. At least that's what I thought it was.
I think it was pretty much, he's the only one that we've ever heard of, I'm pretty sure, who got suspended.
Yeah, the other guys.
Yeah, I think the other guys were just kind of whoever. 6 games for Jamison Williams. That is a large chunk to be missing your number 2 wide receiver. But they don't play the same role, Hopkins and Williams. Williams would probably be that deep threat burner guy. That's not going to be Hopkins. So different roles, but.
See, when it comes, Texter LD from McMinnville says the positives are Vrabel, familiar offensive coordinator and system, a veteran quarterback, the league's best running backs that would take away double coverage, a second-year wide receiver who he met, and a young tight end to go along with this team. And I think other than it's the Titans, other than that, I don't know what the drawback would be unless the Titans aren't offering any real money. If the Titans aren't offering real money, then okay, there's the drawback that they're cheap. But we don't know that. I mean, all we know is they haven't technically made an offer. Now, obviously, DeAndre's not coming here if the Titans don't say, like, hey, we're thinking this range here or there. But I don't know what the drawback is for Hopkins in coming here. Just like I don't know what the drawback for the Titans in bringing on Hopkins is. Yes, the Titans are not Kansas City. And yes, DeAndre Hopkins is not what Tyreek Hill is right now. But beggars can't be choosers, and each side needs a date for the prom. So the more I talk this, the more I think that it makes the most sense for you, and it makes the most sense for him. 615-737-1025. There is one team that I kind of wanted to rule out, that after some news today on the DeAndre front, I'm not ruling this out. And I don't know what the hell this is about. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
It's no longer about Johansson and Duchesne.
Mike Vrabel was his guy. He wanted him to be his coach.
And your source for Nashville sports.
They had missed the playoffs.
It will help them get better players.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The FedEx St. Jude Championship returns to TPC Southwind, August 9th through the 13th. Don't miss your chance to witness the top 70 players from the PGA Tour season battle it out in the first event of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Only 50 players will make it through Memphis. Don't miss your chance to watch the drama unfold. Daily grounds and upgraded ticket options are on sale now at FedExChampionship.com.
What's up, everybody? Teron Davenport here for Superbook Sports. Bring that big bet energy this summer with Superbook Sports. Superbook Sports is the most trusted name in sports betting. And right now, use promo code THEGAME to score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, they'll match your first bet up to $250 with promo code THEGAME. Simply visit superbook.com for terms and conditions or download the Superbook Tennessee app in the app stores. Enter promo code THEGAME and you'll get $250 courtesy of Superbook Sports. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Everyone is loving what Genesis Diamonds is doing right now with the lowest interest rates on the planet. Right now, get 0% interest for 5 years on any purchase. A handcrafted Tacori, A Jaffe, or Viraggio ring with a GIA certified diamond for only $100 a month. Wedding bands, color bands, fashion necklaces, just $40 a month. Pick any item, pay $0 down, and spread your payments over 5 years. Even the sales tax. Don't miss this amazing offer. All natural and lab-grown diamonds included. Now through July 1st only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit, see store for details.
The Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce's 5th annual Nashpreneurs Conference on Wednesday morning, June 28th, will join local small business leaders, creatives, and entrepreneurs for an interactive event focused on access to capital, including angel investors, banking relationships, fund management, and more. The Chamber will welcome keynote speaker Mignon Francois, newly published author and founder of the Cupcake Collection. Time is running out to save your seat. Visit NashvilleChamber.com/events to register today.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Tuning into the baseball game, monitoring the incoming storm, catching your favorite talk show. These are just a few of the reasons more than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio each month. And did you know AM radio is the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times? It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
The NBA's best last battle for the ultimate prize.
NBA champions.
Every big bucket.
3-pointers right side is good.
Every big stop.
The steal rejected.
We are your home for the NBA Finals. Presented by Superbook Sports. Hear every game on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Smashville, this is Sean Henry. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Here's the latest on where things stand with Stephon Diggs. And the last time I joined you, we talked about how the Bills had said that Diggs was not there for practice today, which has been confirmed from the reporters there. He was there yesterday, was there this morning, then left and was not there for practice. I've recently talked to Adisa Bakari, the longtime agent for Stephon Diggs, who told me a couple things. First of all, he found, in general, that press conference answer that Sean McDermott gave to be a little odd, to say the least, considering the conversations that he has said were happening behind the scenes, including meeting with McDermott, with Brandon Beane, the general manager, with Stephon Diggs' position coach. He talked about an in-house situation that they are on the way to resolving. Sounded optimistic there that the situation will be resolved, but it does sound like that is why this whole situation has occurred, because of his as yet unspecified in-house issue. I asked him, is it contract related? He said it is not contract related, which makes sense considering Stephon Diggs is set to make $24 million this year, and his contract was restructured before the season with a more than $22.5 million signing bonus, so basically cannot trade him. So anyway, not contract related, and according to Bakari, should be on the way to being resolved, which is all good news because it's June, and if it takes a little bit of time to resolve, by the time you get to training camp and real games, hopefully this is all old news.
What about this story from Buffalo? I mean, I was not ready for this. And I'm reading from the AP story. Yurdy and Rappaport right there to talk about it. So Stephon Diggs, who, remember how he and Josh Allen got into it at the end of last season on the sidelines, or I forget exactly what it was. And, they're just fiery competitors and whatever. I mean, I didn't really even pay much attention to it. But apparently today was mandatory minicamp, and Stephon Diggs was not there. And then Sean McDermott said he was very concerned that Diggs left and wasn't there for practice. And then it came out that Diggs' agent said that Diggs was there yesterday and today, and that he was in the facility when the practice started, but he didn't practice. And as Rappaport said in that cut, it's not contract related because he just got a new contract. So what is going on? And I'm reading from this AP story in which it says that Josh Allen declined to push the panic button while explaining how unresolved issues stemming from last season have led receiver Stephon Diggs to show his displeasure by skipping the team's start of mandatory practices on Tuesday. Without going into full detail, the AP writes, into what exactly is eating at Diggs, Allen listed getting the team's top receiving threat more involved in the offense and having more game planning input as among the players' concerns. So Josh Allen is basically saying Stephon Diggs wants the ball more. The quarterback then placed the onus on himself to do better in what will be an ongoing attempt to get Diggs back in the fold, and the sooner the better for the Bills. This does not work with what we're doing here without him, Allen said following practice. I've got his back no matter what, and I've got no doubt that we will figure out what is going on. I love him. I can't stress that enough, he added, emphasizing his love for Diggs by using a profanity. I think that there are some things that could have gone better last year and didn't. I think as an organization, maybe not communicating the right way with everything. So Josh Allen is basically saying that, yeah, he's mad about what happened last year and we'll do whatever it takes to make it right, which is a very mature thing to do for a quarterback. Instead of to sit there and say, we're busting our butt and he needs to be here, to sit there and say, nope, I'm the one who needs to do better. That is even if Allen doesn't really feel that way, that's the right way to take it. Allen said Diggs wants to remain in Buffalo and was confident the dispute will be resolved. Quote, he is a fiery competitor. At the end of the day, he wants to win. This team wants to win, and make no mistake, he's a Buffalo Bill. We're going to work this out, Allen said. He doesn't want this to be a distraction. He doesn't want it to be a distraction. Then why would you not show up for mandatory minicamp? Kevin Byard got up there and said he showed up for mandatory minicamp specifically because he didn't want to be a distraction. The disconnect went even further before practice when Coach Sean McDermott said he was very concerned in announcing Diggs would not be participating. What McDermott left out, the AP writes, and later clarified by the team, was Diggs being at the Bills facility on Monday and Tuesday morning before saying he left before practice began. Diggs' agent, in a message to the Associated Press, disputed the timing of Diggs' departure by saying that is not completely accurate, by suggesting his client was still at the team facility when practice began. So I still don't think that the Bills are real players for DeAndre Hopkins, even though they had some talks and, he wanted more money than they would be willing to give up. But I will say this, the Stephon Diggs incident, Diggs had some issues when he was in Minnesota. And they were kind of, like issues about wanting the ball and being upset that he wasn't getting the ball enough. And I mean, he had some serious complaining issues. And I say that because I think Mike Florio tweeted something out that if a guy was unhappy in his first spot, chances are he's going to end up unhappy in the second spot. And I think there might be a little Terrell Owens here to Stephon Diggs. I mean, Stephon Diggs is a great player. He is a great receiver. Any type of top 5 discussion that you have about the receiver position in the NFL, he's in it. He's up there with Justin Jefferson. He's up there with Devontae Adams. He's up there with Jamar Chase. He's up there with Tyreek Hill. He is one of the best receivers in the NFL. But it does seem that both in Minnesota and now in Buffalo, he's kind of gone off the trail a little bit. And if I was Buffalo and I had an unlimited budget, and I believe that the Bills with the Pagulas who own that team have an unlimited budget, I know I've got Gabriel Davis, who is a number 2 receiver, period. If Gabriel Davis were to hit free agency, some team would pay him like low-end number 1 money, and he's not that good. He is good, but he's not that good. Would that make you want to up the offer to DeAndre Hopkins when you realize that there's a situation with Stephon Diggs that not even money can cure? Because it's not contract related. He just signed a new deal. And he redid his deal as far as restructuring it in order to open up cap space because, again, the cap's fake. So he redid the deal. So at least he sees eye to eye on the money part of it. But clearly, it sounds to me like he hates a coach. I don't think he's mad at Allen. And for Allen to get up there and say, I love him and he's a Bill and we're going to work on this and we're in this together and we're blah, blah, blah. I don't think he's mad at Allen. But 99% of the time, these issues with these guys are about the money. And so when it's not about the money with Stephon Diggs, it makes me think that it's either him trying to get a coach fired or he's just wired differently. And this is going to be something the Bills are going to have to manage the whole time.
I feel like he gets the
just
ball
like
enough,
Terrell Owens.
right? I feel like he gets the ball a lot.
I guess he doesn't get the ball enough. I mean, Josh Allen said in that AP story I read from, Josh Allen said we could get him the ball more. I mean, I don't think offense, turning the ball over, I think was a problem for the Bills last year. And the offense did start to fall apart. People don't ever talk about this. But the Buffalo offense did regress last year at the end of the season. The back half of the season, Josh Allen started turning the football over a lot. I do wonder if they had a little bit of an issue in their transitioning from a really good coordinator in Brian Dable, who goes on to be a head coach, and they bring in Ken Dorsey, kind of like how the Titans had their problems moving on from Arthur Smith to Todd Downing. I do wonder if there's something there. I mean, Diggs had 108 catches last year. Now he had 127 in 2020. He only caught the ball 63 times in 2019. Goodness gracious. But yeah, I mean, he had 11 touchdowns last year. He had 1,400 yards. You're right. I mean, 108 catches. That's a lot of passes. That's getting the ball a lot in the NFL.
154 targets, 164 targets, 166 targets.
I mean, I don't know what else, how many more passes he thinks he needs to get, but that's a lot.
Do you think that there's a chance that Stephon Diggs might just be crazy and the Bills are just managing it?
I mean, I don't know about crazy, but it is curious that Minnesota would trade a good wide receiver away like that. I mean, you don't normally see, I guess there's only a few reasons why you trade players away, and
4 reasons.
I'm not sure which one of these fits. I guess it was strictly the money, but if Minnesota's going to be, I mean, if Diggs is that good, Buffalo's willing to pay him, but Minnesota was not. I'm not sure.
I wonder if Diggs has some Antonio Brown in him. Like some Terrell Owens, where T.O. was never happy.
To me, to more all the time kind of thing.
When T.O. got to Philadelphia, T.O. was a model citizen for 1 year, and then he couldn't keep it up. And then he went to Dallas, and he was a model citizen, and then he couldn't keep it up. And Antonio Brown, first year in Tampa Bay, model citizen. Second year, stripping on the field, running off in New York. Pittsburgh, beginning of his career, I don't think he had a bunch of issues. At the end, not even Mike Tomlin could work with him anymore. So make of that what you will. But I do wonder if, this whole Stephon Diggs thing, and if he is volatile, and it looks like he might be, if he's volatile, that may push them further into the DeAndre sweepstakes. So we'll keep our eye on that one as well. 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company, 1025-1063 The Game.
Want to jump into the mind of a 15-year NFL vet? Well, here's your chance. D-Mace. It's Ask D-Mace.
Come on, bring them on.
Ask questions on football and life to Derek Mason every Friday at 12:30 on Ask D-Mace.
Don't mess with her. The skilled guy. Money reigns supreme.
On Caroline, Willie, and
D-Mace.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here. Baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better place to get in on the MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's up to $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/Rob to join today. I love the Braves and the start that they have. I think they're complete. They've got the pitching, they've got the hitting, and I think they're going to be a factor all year long. But you take it any way you want to take it. Don't miss your chance to snag a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/Rob in order to sign up. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel stays true to the spirit of Music City, the perfect spot for sports and arena concert fans year-round. Savor Bar Lines originals, the Bar Line Barbecue Burger or Midtown Mushroom Swiss Burger. Excite your taste buds with the Sobro Grinder with smoked turkey, the Boss Hog with whiskey braised pork butt, and the Angry Chicken, pickle brine fried chicken breast with honey sriracha. Attending an event downtown? Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel, open daily at 11 a.m. is a great way to kick off your afternoon or evening.
Pro Paint
days are here at Lowe's. Now through June 16th, Lowe's MVPs members can start earning 20% back in paint rewards via Lowe's e-gift card when you spend $100 or more on qualifying paint purchases. Stock up on top paint brands like our new and exclusive HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams Spec Right Pro Interior Paint. Lowe's knows pros. Exclusions, restrictions, and more terms apply. See Lowe's.com/L/pro loyalty terms. Subject to change.
Insightful discussion.
When we talk about the person that these players are.
3 goals scored in the first 5 minutes.
He wants to be the starter, day one. Mixed with spirited debate.
Okay, but Professor Derek.
They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. With Caroline Fenton, Willie Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
We got the whole thing covered. We got it all covered.
Here.
Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Is this the right fit for the Rangers as they look to step into their championship contender window? I mean, you could argue they were already there, but is this the right move?
So if you rewind back the DFO Rundown podcast with Jason Greger 2 months ago, I mentioned then that Laviolette, not to pat myself on the back, like my arm isn't that long. I mentioned that he was the perfect fit in my view for where this team is at this exact juncture. They got to the conference final ahead of schedule 2 seasons ago. Last year, a disappointing step back with a loss in the first round. And they also have a lot of the positional checks applied to their roster as well. They've got the goalie in Shesterkin. They've got the Norris Trophy winner in Fox on the back end. They've got all these forwards up front that they're loaded with talent. How can they find a way to complement this group, better surround it, and put it in a position to succeed? I think one of the big things missing was the coaching.
There you go. That was Frank Cervalli on the Daily Faceoff talking about Laviolette to the Rangers. It is officially official that the Rangers have sided with common sense over their general manager's buddy, and they have hired Peter Laviolette over John Hines. Now, I would have gone absolutely ballistic if the Rangers had hired John Hines over Peter Laviolette, because I think that would have been so stupid. But, I mean, look, man, here's the crazy thing to me. Again, Peter Laviolette is now coaching the Rangers. So a cup contender, Madison Square Garden, biggest city in America, and Laviolette's the coach. And I think that's huge. I think it's great for Laviolette too, by the way. And I think Laviolette's gonna do well. I texted Laviolette and I congratulated him. I told him that I'm coming for the Stanley Cup final if he makes it. And you think Peter gonna leave me some tickets for this Cup final if they end up making it? Probably not. But I did tell Peter that I would be there, and I am a Laviolette fan through and through. I think you all know that. But here's something that I don't understand. I don't think Preds fans care about Laviolette at all. Laviolette was the most successful coach in team history. I know if I were to go up to 100 Predator fans and I were to say, who's a better coach, Barry Trotz or Peter Laviolette, you guys would go, Barry, oh my God, he's our guy. Barry Trotz, he's the man. And I'm not taking away from Barry. I like Barry. I do. But Barry did not have the success Peter Laviolette had here. Regardless of whether or not that was Barry's fault or the circumstances, Laviolette is by far the most successful coach this organization has ever had. The fact that the Rangers were debating between the most successful coach and the worst coach in Predators history as who to coach was wild to me because, again, they're the Rangers. It's New York. It's MSG. Fine. But I don't think Predator fans care at all. Like the second Laviolette left, I feel like the average Predator fan completely forgot about Laviolette. Didn't care about Laviolette. They don't hate Laviolette. You know, like I think Titan fans hate Ken Wisenhunt. I've never seen this. Just zero attachment or zero feeling towards a coach. And like a coach who did something. I'm not talking about Mike Munchak, who was 9-7 and 6-10 and whatever. Like I'm talking about a real coach. I mean, when Jeff Fisher was failing with the Rams, That brought out real feelings in people here. They had those feelings about Jeff Fisher. Every time Barry Trotz got let go, every time around here, it was some kind of big deal. When Barry got let go by the Islanders, it was, oh, we have to go get Barry, Jared. They have to bring Barry Trotz back. And even last year behind the scenes, before they ended up making Barry Trotz the general manager. I mean, Chase, who I think, is a diehard Predators fan through and through, like from the very beginning, we'd be in the office and Chase would be talking about how, what do you think about them bringing Barry Trotz in to be the general manager? And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, I mean, sure, but you could go get somebody else too to be general manager. Like, it doesn't just have to be your guy. But when it comes to the Preds fans, there's like these just warm fuzzies with Trotz, and they just think he's the man and that, his farts don't stink. And with Hines, I think there's a lot of Predator fans that are happy that he's gone and they couldn't stand the mediocrity that he brought with him. And they laugh at the fact that people like Joe and Robbie contend that he's a good coach. But with Peter, nobody says anything at all, and I'm stunned by it. Now I'm rooting for him. I am rooting for Laviolette. I think the world of Laviolette as a coach. I think Laviolette can be an a-hole, but that's just who he is. And I hope he ends up winning with the Rangers. But I've never seen anything like it. Just no attachment at all. Was it that way when Jeff Fisher got hired by the Rams here? I can't imagine it was. That's it for us. Speaking of the NHL, Stanley Cup Final, game number 5 tonight right here, 6:30. ESPN Radio is next. Stillman and Company. See you all tomorrow at 2.